What is up, people? So let me know if my audio is good to go. Sorry about the live stream. I was supposed to go live earlier a couple hours ago, but I had some technical difficulties. Not even having to do with the computer. Just had some stuff to take care of. But I'm here, and I'm ready to go. One of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to go over what's been going on lately. It's like this weird campaign. Like, Flat Earth is like, oh yeah, by the way, we got some information and it's about to come out and everyone's gonna know it's flat. Not gonna happen. Um, One of the things that I wanted to go over, get this off the screen. I hate this damn thing. Oh, that's why. Perfect. There we go. Sorry about that. Is hang on. Perfect. Is this idea that we're going to use this math or science that doesn't exist to create a honest application to a test. It's kind of where Mind of God kind of runs, right? Where it's like a we'll see how this goes type situation. We need to figure out a way to quote unquote. I don't even know how to explain it. How does Mind of God get this? Like, he wants to explain how an experiment the layout of an experiment is, but he wants to do it from a fictional situation. It doesn't make sense. But hey, maybe I don't know something he knows that he knows I don't know that we all don't know. You know? I don't know. But anyway, pretty happy to see that Channel Q is going. That'd be pretty cool to have like a nice little band of live streams where everyone can go to, when they're not done talking, and get some information that way. Let me go ahead and get this link out there. It's kind of awkward having this new account because like I'm used to being able to just share to certain places, and I can't really do that with this one yet because I don't ever go to the other site, so I don't know which ones know this name or which sites I have linked. So I have to like switch between accounts, so it's kind of awkward. So make sure you guys get out there and share that shit for me. Come on, man. But yeah, I wanted to get into like the idea of like what we see, what we're describing when we're describing why we know there's curvature, how we know there's curvature, why we see things like boats that are beyond the curve, things like that. It seems clear, but obviously it's not. But hey, that's what I'm here for. I want to continue to do this until we all figure this shit out. Earlier, I did hear a bunch of people talking about GPS and satellites. Then someone brought up, unfortunately, I hate to say it, Chris had brought up satelloons. Now, satelloons is real. It's kind of one of those chemtrail things where you've heard these weird things so many times that now that's kind of fake. Well, the reality of it is that they're around, they're real. It's as good as it gets, right? So, yeah, 2019, they use these things as what is considered a short range satellite system. Say there's bad weather, hurricanes, whatever, different situations where a signal's not getting through. They're using these things as satellites. Actually got the link right here so I can show you guys. And you guys have seen this link before. This is a Raven. This is where the solar radiation management project's going to be going to be based out of. Share the screen. There you go. Nope, that's not the right one. There you go. Yeah, so you guys seen this one. This is they do all their technology, all the big work. And it's pretty simple to get there to it. It's ravenaerostar.com. Go down to to their balloons and airships. And you can go to each and every one of them, and each every one has their different uses and what they're better for. Starting off one, this is the the Thunderhead balloon system. This one is the smaller system. This one, use it for different tasks. This one also is a satellite alternative, right here. Satellite alternative. Position navigation time. I'm assuming that has something to do with GPS. That's like a tracking from it. Keeps it a good strong signal. That'd be this one. And I think this is probably one of the basic ones. Has key benefits. Shows different aspects of it. And one of the big aspects that a lot of people aren't hearing about and aren't realizing plays a huge factor in what we're looking at now. It's always been that these weather balloons travel with the system. But what's happening now is that they're actually you can program these to do a set path or be remote. So they're able to set a path or steer it clear of a storm that's coming, whatever it needs to do. It's able to do it. I heard some big numbers coming out of somebody on the panel that I was listening to, saying that they called one of these places and they told them almost a year. I think he said almost a year these things fly, not even close. Right now they're at about 90 days. Right now they're trying to get to 120. But right now 90 days is the standard average of what these things can do. When it becomes a situation of the jet stream, I think the last time I talked about it, I was a little jumbled in my information. But what they're able to do is steer clear of the jet stream, whether that's lower or raise elevation, completely go in a different direction. But that's what the programmable systems and the remote systems on them are mainly for. Go to zero pressure balloons. Now these are the ones that have those those weird looking satellite things. The one that crashed, that everyone acts like, well, that's how we know. Well, the thing is, that's not evidence for no satellites. This is just a different method for how they use communications and whatnot. Let me see if that's benefit one's up there. Is perfect. Yeah, see, this one is scientific data collection, persistent surveillance, remote communicators, reconnaissance, GPS, intelligence gathering, radar calibration, satellite simulation. I mean, anything that they're doing up there, they're figuring out ways to do it cheaper, more efficient. Obviously, the signal is going to be a lot easier to use and receive the closer it is, but you're obviously not going to get a big, wide span of it. So it's obviously not going to be plausible for any situation, but there are a lot of situations where these things are perfect. Big disasters. If they're doing if they're doing solar radiation management, and that blanket of sulfates is blocking signals, they'll probably end up using one of these things. They'll probably start using these. I really started thinking about that. And it's actually, it hits close to home when you really think about it. So think about this. If we're supposed to be getting closer and closer to renewable energy, and solar power being one of those options, how are we supposed to use solar power if they're going to be blocking out the sun's radiation? That's the space-based solar power that I've been talking about. How are they going to do that if they're planning on doing 15 years plus of solar radiation management? But if they can't use solar radiation management, or if they can't use solar power, then doesn't that mean fossil fuels will have to continue producing oils and petroleum? They'll have to continue burning coals and all that shit, right? I don't know. I was just brainstorming that, and it made me realize, like, damn, it's like that tangled web of shit going on that just doesn't look good for any situation, no matter what, that's it right there. Because they're not. In the worst part, they're not talking to us about the danger. The not the danger stuff. The good types of geoengineering. But hey, what's up, Charlie? What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Blue Marble? See who else is in here? What's up, Barney? Hannah, how you doing? What's up, Rob? Yeah, hey Rob. Yeah, I'm 100% wanted to debate Nathan Thompson. I don't even know why. I just really want to start debating those quote unquote top flat earthers and get them out the way because they're the issues. Hello, Bernie. How you doing, sir? Oh, wait. Let me make sure everyone can hear you. Hang on. I always make that mistake. All right, everyone can hear you. Perfect. How you doing, sir?
Hello, hello. One thing before I join properly, the link that you're posting on this channel doesn't work because you leave the whole auth user number one thing and everything. You need to strip everything after the question mark for it to work for other people. Otherwise, it just tells them to redirect infinitely.
My bad. I should probably I don't know why I don't use this one. The one that's right there on the screen. I bet this one works just fine. Let's see. Let's see if that one works. Hopefully it'll work. My bad. I was trying to figure it out. I was like, damn, I don't know what's going on. Whatever. But you're smart, so you got it figured out. See? How you been?
Awesome. I went on, what's his name? Jose.
Yeah, I saw you on there.
Jose's, and then inadvertently ended up on Channel Q.
Yep.
And yeah, it was fun. I did the whole rant about refraction on flat Earth. Which went rather well with the amount of preparation that I've put into it.
Well, that usually the best hangouts happen that way, where it's just off the cuff out of nowhere, and you're not you don't have anything prepared because that's when you start brainstorming right away. Let's see, I'm trying to share and everything. Like I was saying earlier, it's different with this channel. It's different because I'm used to having everything laid out. Like I know the pattern for the other channel, but now I'm having to work both sides, like both channels at the same time, and it sucks. So I'm getting used to that. Let me see. All right, perfect. There you go. Yeah, so you guys were talking about. I heard you guys talking about. You guys talking about satelloons and GPS and all that stuff. Like, not a lot of people know that the technologies. It's not replacing it, but I mean all the satelloons, the remote balloons, these drone balloons that are up for 90 days. Those, I mean, that's as real as it gets.
I'm not following you.
Say again?
I'm not following you. What are you talking about?
So you guys were talking about how but basically most flat earthers will say GPS is tower-based systems, not satellites. Where in some of the other ones that understand that a tower-based system isn't going to work, so then they start using weather balloons basically, or these or satelloons. Yeah, I'll share the screens because I'm on the webpage right now.
GPS itself is a purely satellite system, but the global positioning system overall uses anything. Uses cell towers, uses Wi-Fi hotspots, balloons, and satellites as well.
Yeah, but you've seen these, right? These let me get the screen like these.
I've seen your picture at the beginning of this stream. No,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that they're using balloons for positioning.
Yeah. Well, so the I've started reading into it, and I kind of understand a lot of them. Not these ones, because these are like the balloon ones. The ones I understand are more like this one. Let me get to it, because this is the one that I first found out about. This one right here, the stratospheric airship. This is the one that I found out about all this with, and when I found it, because this one is like the leading ones. These are ones like remote. These ones can actually not replace a satellite, but do exactly what a satellite does in regards to it's what it does. You know what I mean? It's not just a trace, but it can actually transmit a signal. Um, they use them for small areas. The best thing I was able to it was explained to me was during storms, disasters, when signals aren't you know working too well, or a satellite goes down and an area needs immediate needs that signal. They'll use one of these as a replacement until further notice, basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, it, the only reason I'm really bringing it up because now I'm having to kind of play both. I have to like watch both sides because I know a lot of people don't believe this stuff is going on or know what's going on yet. And then there's the other ones that are like on flat Earth that are like, yeah, man, they're seeding the sky with uh, nuclear stuff, and I gotta like weed through everything and get through that. I was doing that yesterday when comes to cloud seeding. It's like they were using that for their own little game, and I'm like, it doesn't work. Yeah, but it's a trip having to deal with both sides now. Um, what I wanted to do is I wanted to have like Seek and Find come by because I realized that I've been kind of rough on the dude, and I've had a rough past few days when it comes to talking the flat Earth thing. But I we need to do tests with them. Like we need to actually be involved in doing some type of experiment where even if it's like there's no wordplay, there's no pretending not to understand or nothing. Like you have to, you either do it or you don't, and it's all blatant right there. It doesn't matter what side you think it is.
Oh, on that kind of related topic, I need to concede to Mind of God. The gyroscope that I thought I could build,
Mm-hmm.
I can't.
What's that?
I've started doing. I don't know how much you can see the initial designs and calculations, and with what I think I can do on my own, I think I need like a 200 kilo spinning disc to overcome the moment of inertia, and that's not going to work for something that I can carry on board a ship. So,
Yeah.
my half-assed estimate was off by a couple of orders of magnitude. No, turns out that you really do that overcoming static friction is a problem.
Ah.
I've seen some people do small scale stuff with maglevs, with magnetically levitated gyroscopes, but everything has moved off to electronics, to magnetic resonance and optical gyroscopes and stuff like that, and nobody's doing mechanical gyroscopes for any precision measurement at all.
Yeah.
I,
That's the other thing that the way technology goes, it's definitely surpassing our knowledge of things. Layman's terms, obviously, layman's person's ability to know how they work, but that should be more of like a helper to flat Earth, wouldn't it? Like better technology. Like they're saying we don't have enough. We haven't had that much time to get the evidence, to provide for flat Earth. But if technology is improving, especially at the rate it is, there's got to be something that by now that they would have to really figure stuff out. Like, for instance, 100 years ago, the average person did not know what the edge of space looked like. I mean, it wasn't going to happen ever. But now, you or I can do it in a week. We can have everything we need and have a camera up there.
Hypothetically, yes. Like if I was
Yeah.
going to put all of my money behind it. Well, so the Foucault gyroscope, I reckon I could build if I gave myself a couple of years of trials and errors and like removing the friction effects and getting a lathe to make a precision uh, what's it called, the wheel of the gyroscope and stuff like that. I really expected that I'd be able to do it with a lot less effort, and yeah.
And it's that particular gyroscope, or is it just the
Uh, uh, it's the concept is pretty simple, right? Let's say you take a fidget spinner, right? It has a fairly low friction, right? It can spin easily, and even if you turn your hand around, it kind of wants to stay alone, wants to stay in line, right? And what you're doing with a gyroscope in what I was trying to do is you're adding resistance to turning. You're adding momentum so that when you turn it, it stays in place. However, if even in something that has ball bearings and that has fairly low friction, if you turn it slowly enough, the static friction will overcome that easily. And we're talking about something that needs to be unaffected by that static friction while turning at 15 degrees an hour to detect the rotation of the Earth, or for my boat experiment to detect 1 degree not 1 degree per hour, 1 degree every 4 hours, right? And I just cannot. I do not have the engineering ability to do that.
yeah.
Right?
Well,
I would need
well,
I would need a really massive wheel.
yeah. Damn. Well, that just shows you, what our technology has become now.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I wish that would have been badass to see. But
Yeah.
there are other
I'll
ways,
keep
though.
looking. I'll keep looking into it, and there are other ways. And if I come up with a solution, like that is a part of the process, right? If you don't know how to do it, you go back to the drawing board, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do the basic idea, then you plug in the numbers that you have into the formulas for angular momentum, for the rotation of the Earth, for like what's to be expected,
Mm-hmm.
and you see what you need. Well, how if I increase the weight of the disk, if I increase the speed of the disk, if I increase these parameters or those parameters, how far can I get, right? And you kind of try to set yourself some relatively realistic limits with the tools that you have, and if it doesn't work, you go back to the drawing board. You need to
Yeah.
think up another way of testing it.
Yep.
And like the gyro compass is really simple, and that can work, and you can do it with a gyroscope as simple as this. Like, but I don't think that that's what they're after, especially what I was talking to with Mind of God, which is measuring the curvature with the movement of the boat.
Yeah. It- yeah. Hey, what's up, Big Blue? You're really, really quiet. Like, super quiet.
Nope.
Yeah, it sounds like you're using maybe your laptop mic is on or something.
Your voice is clear. It's just very, very, very quiet.
Well, I don't know. Let me work on it.
All right, no problem.
Maybe you're being picked up by a wireless headset, which is in another room.
It's happened twice. I've done that twice now.
I'm on the main microphone. It shows the levels okay, but I don't know.
Are you sure that that's the one that's selected in the Hangout settings?
Maybe I need to go. I can remember where the settings are.
The cogwheel at the top of the screen.
Yeah, that's what's selected. I don't know.
Maybe your computer. Maybe it's like the computer settings.
Don't know.
Computer settings, they're out. Beats me. I'll just talk real loud. How's that?
Nope.
Yeah,
You're way too. Like, I can hear that you're talking louder, but you're not. You're barely registering.
Yeah, even when I turn the Hangout setting all the way up, you're still. It's like you're just as low still. It's like it doesn't help at all.
Well, let's see. Let me try that.
Okay, we can hear you fiddling with the mic.
Is that any better?
Oh, that's,
Oh,
there it is.
much.
There it is. It's good.
Oh,
Now. Perfect.
okay. Well,
How you doing,
and
sir?
I guess that's what I need to do. Get rid of the blue mic and put the headphone mic on. Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Real well, real well. Happy I'm
Yeah,
finally back alive again.
yeah,
Jeez.
I hear that. Yeah, Barney, I knew that as I was listening to you guys talking about building that gyroscope. That's tricky. That's really
Yeah.
tricky. Um, you look at the way they make those gyro compasses, and they get away with not having to have such a huge rotor by using actually using the rotor of a squirrel cage three-phase induction motor as the rotor. Only they turn those things at they hook them to an inverter and they turn them at 200 hertz. So what are they spinning them up to? So you have to run the numbers real quick, but that's 10,000 RPM or so.
Yeah, 10,000 RPM. And I thought about using the kind of the kid electrical motor just to have it spinning. And no.
No, they get away with doing away with the friction literally by suspending that thing from a wire, very much like the Cavendish experiment was done.
Yeah.
The whole
But
the whole
that
rotor
doesn't
assembly is hanging from a wire.
yeah, but that doesn't work for the case that I
No,
was going
it's
to.
not. It's not doing what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're trying to do. Would make a gyro compass though.
Yeah, I will make a gyro and I will use it as a gyro compass and test all of those things out. But damn it! But that like shows you how easy it is to overestimate the effect, like to underestimate the effects of friction and losses and vibration and
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to find a picture that I wanted to put up there real quick. What was it?
Yeah, you go on YouTube, you look up. There's an old Sperry Rand film from way back in the probably 40s or 50s, where they've got their gyro compass and they go through the whole thing, show you the whole thing, everything about how it's made. That's pretty amazing.
No, but gyro compass is easy, right? If you can apply a torque, if you can use gravity to torque it constantly, right? You are overcoming all the gyroscopic effect will overcome a lot of friction, right? But I was trying to just have it suspended, like not torqued at all, and let it keep its angular angular
Yeah.
momentum to
Yeah. Keep its nose up, so to speak.
yeah eliminate all torque on it.
I'm trying to find well, the upload that was out, but I gotta be careful. So I gotta be careful with the uploads I have because I do plan on putting all the live streams that I do here back onto my other channel. So I still have to be careful with what I'm using. And it looks like this one of the strikes I got, I may be able to get rid of. So I may be back on the Sean G channel, hopefully by next week. Yeah, next week. What's it called? I got a copyright strike because it was someone's content, but it wasn't their content that I was struck for. It was the music that was on it. So I actually got in contact with the producer. I don't know, the guy who owns the rights to it, and I gotta email him back tonight, and hopefully all the matters will be situated. And I'll be back on the other channel. We'll see. Fingers crossed, right? Where's that? Damn it. Okay, I can't find the picture I was looking for. Okay, but I'll explain it anyway though. It was another one of the boats over the curve. And then I had found a bunch of stuff for just how refraction works and the different methods that they use to basically, I guess, the equation for refraction. I guess would it be called? I don't know the exact term for it.
Yep.
But it was like this major red flag. Like I'd been saying like all along, like to Chris, like Chris, you're not really even proving a flat Earth globe thing. You're just using it as a flat Earth thing, but you're leaving out, like he left out a lot of things to do with refraction. And someone was on, and they Uber was on Jose's, and he was over at the Discord server. I'm sorry, and he had said a term for it was an atmospheric condition that happens that I had never heard of, and it's called atmospheric ducting. And when I looked that up, that opened up to a whole bunch of other shit. It was like a bunch of terms and phenomena that happen and explanations for these things, but it was all about how the curvature of the Earth is the reason why a lot of these things happen that you wouldn't get on any other situation. I'm pretty sure it's the ducting one is what I'm thinking of. Let me see. I'll share my screen so you guys can see what I'm doing. So basically I was looking through here and all this stuff, and it was, it talks about all the different types of refracting and reasons for it, but I started noticing right away, like everything in here has something to do with the curvature of the Earth when describing why these effects happen. It tells about the times of the day when these things are happening that have everything to do with the shape of the Earth, and he never adds any of these things, and all these things seem to be pretty damn important when I'm reading through them. Yeah, just everything from how to measure it, how how it works with the different densities that it goes through. Like, I don't see how any of that could prove a flat Earth at all.
What it does is confuse people a lot.
Yeah, so it's one of those imprecise facts. it bends light in some way and makes things appear the way they're not, therefore flat Earth, right? If I can throw in a smidge of doubt, I can consider my case proven. But that's not how it works.
Yeah, like it when I started looking into it, I literally looked into it as if I was trying to figure out why it happens rather than uh, what each situation is and how it would prove anything. But right away, excuse me, right away the one thing I noticed that in every explanation for how to measure for it, or to measure where the the fuck damn the angle intensity or whatever it's called is is the density that it's going through, and I realized that that changes everywhere, all the time.
All the time, exactly.
There's no way to
You
explain any horizon based on that.
you go over 10 miles or 20 or 50 miles of water, and you could have so many different density layers through there. Makes it
But
extremely hard to figure out what's happening.
you have an average. The average is just dependent on the average density of the atmosphere as it gradates from sea level pressure to effectively zero pressure, right?
Yep.
And that's going to be a constant. But then within that, you have a whole chaos of phenomena of swirlies and local density variations, and right, which will create all of the aberrations that we've been talking about, the mirages and the fata morganas, and
Yeah,
but
it's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
the overall average effect will always be a slight curve downwards.
Yeah, it's possible for it to curve upwards very rarely, but I mean, it can happen, but not very often.
Well, it can happen if you have cold air over a hot surface, so that you get a layer of hot, less dense air below the cold
Yeah,
air.
yeah, you got to have an inversion. You got to have an inversion temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, just all that if when you just look for it, it's almost like all you're gonna get is like the real basics of refraction. Like you really have to look into like atmospheric optics, atmospheric conditions, like all these things that will end up leading, like kind of spiderwebbing back into one topic of it. But I didn't realize there were so many aspects of optics. Period. Just in what we see and how it's described and why it's happening.
And refraction happens in any wave form, right? If you have waves on water and you make a pool and then make a shallower portion of the pool where the waves will be moving at a different speed, you will get refraction as well. But the optical refraction, Fermilabs just recently had a couple of videos. One was how can the speed of light slow down in a translucent medium, and the other one is about refraction, like from the perspective of quantum physics. Like, what is the actual thing causing it? And they do a pretty good job of going through what's being said, like what you can hear people say about what the reasons for refraction are and what's really going on. So if you have the opportunity, go take a look at that.
Yeah, definitely will. Yeah, cause, excuse me. Like I said, I realized right away. I mean, there's so many aspects of refraction that I mean, Chris almost is doing no justice to it at all. To what we're really seeing and how it works.
Yeah, when
Is
you
that
when you
the
look,
same Chris? Sorry, is that the same Chris that I was talking to on Channel Q today?
Yes. Yeah, he was there.
Wait, 'cause I think I've been going through refraction in fairly in detail with him. It went well.
We'll
He
see.
got,
Because he likes to, what he likes to do is he likes to ask a lot of questions and then use that against you. That's what
no,
he's
that's fine.
that's what he's been doing with Rumpus. And I tried to explain to him, like, no one person speaks for everyone, and especially in those situations, it's kind of disingenuous to do that as well. But hey,
Yeah,
so,
and I don't speak for anyone. I speak for myself from my own understanding. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
yeah, that's the important part, admitting when you're wrong. But yeah, sometimes some people's egos are a little bit a little bit too strong-willed.
Sometimes.
It happens. Yeah, but it's one of the other things that I wanted to kind of go over, because I have zero clue, and I didn't even realize that it works this way. But for instance, the same way Jeranism and like Red's Rhetoric did the transit, did the filters that you get for cameras, does a solar filter not allow you to, like, are there aspects of a solar filter that take away from some other observation that you would do with the sun or something like that? Because like I would think you'd be able to do almost every observation with a solar filter, but it kind of seems like there's only certain ones.
I wouldn't know the detail, but yes, you're putting something with the express purpose of blocking the excess light.
it's a
So
very, very dark filter. You're not going to be able to photograph pretty much anything except the sun.
okay, so it's just only allows only certain aspects of that the light to come through, rather
Yeah,
than
it's really dark. I mean, you won't be able to see through it unless you hold it up to the sun.
okay, I see. Yeah, because I've only seen, like, like the do it at home makeshift type ones. So
Yeah,
those
yeah.
aren't too great. So
It's a lot like a welding hood, you know.
okay, okay,
Well, it's something like that.
yeah, that makes, well, I've looked through many of those, so I now have a much better idea what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have that much attenuation of the light, it just absolutely overwhelms the CCDs in the camera.
All right, yeah, I was just
And,
looking at the chat. Thanks, Charlie.
yeah, I watched Jaron just actually filmed a transit of the ISS across the sun.
Yeah, I'm man, I'm so confused why he hasn't said it's a globe yet. I mean, he's one of the top experiment guys that proves globe.
He films the transit of the thing going across the sun exactly when it's supposed to go across the sun. He slows it down. He looks at it. It's the same shape as the ISS. Looks exactly like the ISS is supposed to look. And he says he's still not sure that's what it is.
Yeah, it
Holy,
makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
holy
confused
shit!
the
If a
hell out of
fucking
me.
thing fell on his head, would he would he then admit it was the ISS? I don't know what it would take.
Yeah, that
I don't
and
know.
that's
That's just irrational denial, is what it is.
I don't think so. It's really hard to get out of your head and of the world as you understand it in your head. Your worldview to you looks more real than reality itself, and I can understand that. I absolutely can. But I really do have to give props to him for putting up both videos and like showing the outcome of his experiment and how he did it and how he found out and how other people can replicate it despite his conclusion.
but how but how do you take any of the information at face if it's that blatant though? I mean, the information he gave seemed correct, as in how to do it and how he did it. But how do you not get that answer? The answer that it's there. It is what exactly NASA says it is, and everyone else says it is. I don't. It's just I can't imagine how that takeaway is so extreme that it just blinds you that much. It's confusing.
I really don't find that confusing. I actually do believe that we're all under the same effect, right?
What do you mean?
Like that we are all as hard to disabuse from our worldviews, the thing that we think is reality, as he is from his, or other flat earthers for that matter.
Yeah, but like what reality do you think you have that other people besides flat Earth would think is isn't even close? I mean, everything we believe should have some shroud of evidence behind it. Even believing in a God has more evidence behind it than a flat Earth.
You are unable to think about things that you don't know. And you are unable to conceptualize things that don't fit into your understanding of the world, right? It is one thing to learn a fact. Everybody can learn a fact, right? In these few weeks of talking to flat earthers, a lot of them know terms that I don't, and that I have to look up and figure out and go, oh, cool, now I've learned something new, right? I do genuinely learn from flat earthers. It's not hard to learn a new fact. It is very hard to change your understanding of a fact once you know it. Once you have adopted it, once you have set it in your head, once it points to your understanding of reality, adding a new fact that doesn't coincide with your entire understanding of the world and requires that you change your entire understanding of the world is immensely hard.
I do see what you're saying because that was the issue I had with picturing the globe. You know, picturing how the curve it would be, how a boat would go over. Like those things weren't in my head. Like I actually 100% know exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly.
I guess once you kind of start, once things become more clear to you, it becomes less clear how you didn't understand it.
And that's the curse of knowledge, and like it's a known bias phenomena. Once you know it, it's really, really hard to imagine what it was like when you didn't know it, and what it's like for other people who don't know it. Or once you understand it in a certain way, it's really hard to imagine that other people understand the same thing, the same word with the same definition, and have a completely different understanding of it. The intuition, the underlying like substructure that props that understanding up, and that's the thing that's hard to change. When I talk to flat earthers, most of the stuff that comes up is that kind of like who was it the other day? Damn it. It was Merlin, right?
Merle.
He was Merle. He was explaining how he can tell that photos are fake, and when you scratch under his like off the cuff remarks, it does come down to, well, it's showing a globe Earth, and the Earth is flat, therefore it must be fake, right? And then globers will jump on him for using circular logic, but no, he really does think, from my perspective, it seems that he really does think the Earth is flat. And yes, looking at a globe looks fake to him. It doesn't coincide with his reality. And whenever a flat earther says, well, that's a convenient explanation, but it doesn't coincide with reality,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Just
can
his
understand
reality.
that.
His reality, yeah.
It's his understanding. None of us have reality. None of us have the intuitive absolute grasp of the facts of nature, independent of cognition, independent of a mind understanding it based on previous knowledge.
I see, I see. What's up, Stingray? How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, Sean. Yourself?
I'm doing pretty good, pretty good. Happy to be live again. If I'm
Yeah.
not,
No, I just
I'm.
want.
Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
go on.
No, no, I wasn't gonna say anything. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I just wanted to mirror what Barney said because one thing that I did when it I was a 3D artist, not anymore. I gave that up about I don't know 7 or 8 years ago and changed to be a computer programmer instead and start a company. But as a 3D artist for like 16 years, I was dealing with materials that have IOR, index of refraction, and scatter coefficients and absorption coefficients and all these things. And I I knew the properties for like milk, soap, honey, all of these things, but I never actually I could work out what scatter coefficients and absorption coefficients were, and I knew that the higher the index of refraction, the more refraction happened. But since coming into flat Earth now, I I kind of I kind of know that that's the fractional slowdown of light, something that I previously didn't know. And since knowing that, I've looked into how, on an atomic level, there's like 3 or 4 explanations that don't really work and why they don't work. And the one that does is about electro waves based on the incidence angles. And these kind of things I took for granted. But Rumpus sent me some information. Barney's explained some things that I've watched on the show. George has sent me some things, and it's the first time I can say in my life that I now know a hell of a lot more, and I now know how little I know because there's even more to learn. It's like it just opened up this chasm, and it's like, oh my God, it's amazing.
And it's entirely impossible to say ahead of time what it is that you don't know
Yeah,
because you don't know it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad. I think I'm at the point now where I know enough to know how much I don't know, and that's really bad.
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at right now. I'm like, oh shit, gotta go back through my
Oh,
notes.
but that's okay. That's the human condition. That's the part where you realize that we're all in that same boat. That like you've gone through life learning new things and never knowing what you don't know until you learn it, and then you know that you didn't know it before and how stupid you were before. You're in no better position right now. You know more things,
Yeah.
but you still don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you're still relying on your own internal understanding and cognition of these things, and are still equally as wrong as you were before. Well, not equally, but it either works or it doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it was for me. Because I mean, if I really went back and thought about what I know now compared to if I hadn't even found flat Earth, I I couldn't imagine. I still think I knew everything while not knowing a damn thing.
Yeah, Sean, I meant to ask you, like when you had your previous channel, I came on once or twice. I'm Dean W. I just changed my
Oh, okay.
my name to Stingray because everybody's all got these amazing sort of like handles like the Mind of God, the Rumpus, and all this kind of stuff. So I just thought, balls to it. I'm gonna have my own here, and this was my childhood.
No. You gotta go back. Go back to Dean, man. Roll with me. This channel doesn't make sense, but the other one, I'm Sean G. I don't have a spectacular one.
I know. But no, I forgot what I was going to say then. I was just thinking, I got my childhood nickname, Stingray. It's also my gaming handle as well as Stingray. So
It's the one you recognize.
yeah. No, I totally forgot my train of thought then.
I have a completely opposite strategy. Instead of taking on a cool nickname, I'm going to make my nickname cool. Someday people are going to say, that's the Barney.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, you know you've made it when you take something that just is not cool and you make it cool.
Yes.
But I'm not sure continued use of that, Barney, would change the facts.
Yeah, that's the one. You say that one time. You get a one-time use on that one.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna ask you, Sean, I've just remembered now, is what caused you to become a flat earther? Because I've never heard this, and maybe I need to look back on some streams or something. What caused you to be a flat earther, and then what caused you to leave that?
Well, ultimately, understanding. That's the big thing right there. Before I was a flat earther, I thought I knew a lot about the globe. So when I found flat Earth, instead of me hearing phenomena or things that science hadn't explained yet for the globe, I was hearing things that were against what the globe was saying. You know, when you don't really have a good, clear understanding about something, for instance, dark matter, dark energy. If you don't really have a good understanding of the topic, fuck what it is, because we don't know, but just space in general, then you're not going to have a grasp of what they're trying to explain it is. Well, that's what the globe was to me when I knew it was there, but I really didn't know. So when someone who knows more comes to you and starts giving you rapid fire information, it's real easy to not be able to judge which one's correct because I can't calculate it in my head because it doesn't exist in my head. Then what happened was I wanted to learn, so I was always asking questions. Any chance I got, if I felt I was going to be in a respectful situation, I was asking questions nonstop, taking it in, taking notes, and realizing how different things worked. Well, after 2 years, I started to be able to clump stuff together that didn't work at all for flat Earth. I mean, that whole idea that what I say, the whole three observations that work together as a system, that happened probably a month before I left flat Earth. I realized that nothing works. So I started asking flat earthers questions, like, content creators, usually in the back chats, and they wouldn't answer anything. In fact, they pretty much dodged the question altogether. And then Beyond the Curve came out with Jeranism, the flashlight test. That did it right there. I saw that test and how that failed, and I went, all right, I'm done. There's no evidence at all. I can't do this.
Well, you had to have gone through the denial that space exists. That you had to go through all of that, right? I mean,
Well,
you had to believe. You have to believe that everything NASA has ever said, everything every space agency has ever said, is a lie. You've got to believe that.
well, see, here's the
If you
thing.
don't,
For me, it was different because remember, as a flat earther, I honestly got in more debates with flat earthers than I ever did with Globers, because I had a lot of different views. I came into it, I knew space was real, and I knew satellites were real because I used GPS at work. So the whole time I'm trying to figure all these things out. How is space travel real? How do they do this? How do they do that?
yeah.
When you're trying to figure things out like that, with zero understanding about it, you really get stuck in rabbit holes that don't allow you to really understand that that's not even possible because you're so busy trying to figure out how it is possible.
Well, I'll tell you something. Sean. Just to stop you at that point. I went into another channel. Uber Flat Earth. That was it. And and I'm very open-minded, and I don't mind looking for anomalies in things. And my experience is graphic arts, visual effects, and to some extent AR, VR, and programming, and all this kind of stuff. And I got into a discussion, and it immediately went towards, so you believe everything that NASA puts out. So there was that assertion, and I'm there like, not one time have I ever said that. I've never looked at everything that NASA's put out, so I don't know how I'd even determine that. And then the question was, so you think we went to the moon then? And I went, well, yeah, I think we pretty much went to the moon, because I have seen images and things that I've looked at. And they said, and they said, well, we haven't, because it's been debunked. And I said, well, not really. And all anybody could link me to was 3 hours of video that is just assumption and assertions on assertions. And then eventually someone linked me to they were talking about 9/11, and then it went back to space, and they linked me to a BBC documentary about debunking the lunar landings. And they're citing this is the hypocritical nature, which I find hard to understand. They're citing the BBC as producing this, and that this evidence is valid. But this is the same corporation that reported, in their eyes, World Trade Center 7 dropping down 10 minutes before it actually did. So they're going to a source that they claim in one conspiracy is absolutely not trustworthy and is evidence for their thing. And then they're going to say, no, this is reputable because they did debunk the moon landings. And at the end of all this, I just asked them one simple question. I said, look, all I can do is you get me an image, you point to me at what you think is anomalous, and I'll evaluate it based on my experience. And I asked that about 4 or 5 times. Not one of them ever gave me one image. And it was to the point where Uber himself, Uber Flat Earth, said, Jesus Christ, guys, this guy's just asking for one fucking image. There's apparently a panel of researchers, and no one's actually given him just a single image. And no one's done it. No one's given me an image and said, hey, look at this. This is why this is anomalous, and this is why it's fake. It just can't be done.
Well, I've looked, and I've looked hard to try to find that one image that you're talking about, and I have never been able to come up with one. I mean, I hear all of the. I've listened to an awful lot of those videos, watched an awful lot of stuff, and it boils down to normally, well, that just doesn't look right to me. Well, I don't really give a shit what it looks like to you. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. What matters is, can you prove that's fake somehow or the other? What is the evidence that it's been fabricated somehow? Does NASA touch up images? Hell yeah. Name a photographer that doesn't.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
Yes.
Why wouldn't they? They're trying to make pretty pictures for you. What would all these same guys that are claiming fake, what would they say if NASA gave them an old scratched up negative and say, oh yeah, there you go?
Yeah, but then again, you get that one brilliant guy who comes in on a panel and starts going, no, NASA never touches up images, and you don't, how do you know that image has been touched up? And like getting uppity about, no, dude, it's okay. They have a graphics department.
Of course they touch things up.
They have a marketing department as well. They actually need to make their stuff popular to get the funding so that they can continue doing the work that they do.
They'll fiddle with the colors and do things that will make it more attractive. It doesn't change the fact that it's a real image. It's just been fiddled with a little bit.
I mean, I did this on Jose's show. I'm just going to share my screen for you guys and show you something, because there was one image that someone presented to me, and they said, "Oh, look, it's a spotlight. It's a local spotlight." Wait a minute. So, can you see my screen right now? Yeah. So what we've got here is we've got an object. I'll actually change the background. Give me 2 seconds. We've got an object in the background that is a box shape, and it's casting a shadow this way. And then we've got these 2 local objects. I think these were 2 rocks in the image, if I remember correctly. And I reproduced this image, and I said, this is exactly the angles that you're on about. And yes, it looks like they converge at a point, and that a spotlight would be up here. But this is actually a single direction light. There is no actual source for it. And if we go to a perspective view, we can actually see that these shadows are just parallel, and it's the field of view of the camera. So what's hypocritical here is for some reason, when flat earthers look and say, look, it's fake because of the shadows, they disregard perspective in all manner. But then when things disappear from the bottom first, they just start yelling perspective for some reason. And I find that really infuriating sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, as it turns out, there was a spotlight up there. It's called the sun.
Yeah.
A really big spotlight. That's exactly what you see it every day in nature. I mean, you walk out in the street on a sunny day and look at the shadows being cast by the power poles, and you'll see all kinds of different angles, just like you see here. There's nothing abnormal about that. That's the way perspective works. That's the way we see things.
Indeed.
Not abnormal. Well, it's abnormal if you're looking for something that you want to say that looks abnormal.
What I don't get, and it really it confuses me. Like when you find like apps like this where you can actually they physically illustrate exactly the trajectory of the sun in during the day, right? Or our rotation with the sun, our observation of the sun. How come they don't realize that if this works, but it doesn't work on a flat Earth? Why not? How do you not come at something? How can you not come at something with a objective look to it? This is the plot. This is the path you would depict the sun to go in. And if it was on flat Earth, it wouldn't have the same pattern every day like this.
Well, yeah, the globe has absolute predictive power over the sun and the moon and eclipses, both lunar and solar. So it's like, and until the same can be said for a flat Earth. But what I find interesting is the latest craze of things disappearing from the bottom first, a geometric impossibility, and then the other one is atmospheric lensing, which is lunacy. Because I've spoken to flat earthers that say the reason why the sun doesn't change angular size is because of the atmosphere, and that's all they can say, because of the atmosphere.
You would think because I try to use atmospheric pressure as a replacement for gravity at the time. I was trying to figure that out. I was trying to see if that could be a reason for it, and just the difference in atmosphere everywhere, it doesn't work. It just can't.
Well, yeah, I've heard that argument about atmospheric lensing too. And I mean, think about it. If the sun is even anywhere more than maybe 10 degrees up off the horizon, you're barely looking through any more atmosphere at it than you are when it's straight up overhead. There's not a lot of difference. The effect of if there is such a thing would be very, very low on the horizon. That doesn't explain the fact that the damn sun should be changing size by a factor of about 2.5 times.
Yeah, and if you had, it does come down to that. If you want atmospheric cleansing to be the answer, then each of us need to have a set of atmospheric lenses following us around, right? It doesn't work as a universal explanation. It doesn't explain why everybody sees the same sun at the same.
Yeah, people closer, we would just magnify massive. It'd be huge, and then you go away and you get infinitesimally smaller. Oh, you get proportionally smaller. Yeah, it just wouldn't work. Oh, unless it's convex. Yeah,
Yes.
it'd be impossible.
And then you get to that explanation, which actually does work, which is, well, the only possible answer if the Earth is flat is that each of us has their own individual apparent sun. And
I don't like that one, Barney. I don't like that one.
But so, let me play devil's advocate.
You're scaring me now. I don't like this.
No. I'm just trying to go about finding any solution which would work, regardless of how ridiculous it is to me. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is to me. If that were the case, it could work. But we do have effects like that. For example, the sky that we see, right? I was just talking about it on the other hangout. We don't. There is no uniform planar sky above us. Each of us is in a field of fog, which is tens of kilometers or hundreds of kilometers wide around us, and each of us just see a haze relative to our position, just like in a fog, like each of us sees a meter or 2 meters or 10 meters in front of themselves, and that's specific to an individual.
But that's universal in every single direction, whereas the sun is not. We never say that with a defined source, do we?
Yeah, but it's unique to the observer. Or the other example is the visible universe, right? The visible universe is defined by the light that reaches us from the furthest reaches of the universe. Each of us just see a haze relative to our position, point just is centered on our eyeballs. So each of us sees a slightly different, unique to themselves visible universe.
Right, so all you've told me is let's not use our personal experiences. Let's just take photos of it with solar filters and level the playing field, because this is scary. I'm not going down this route.
Charlie is saying, Barney, it only works if no one talks to anyone else. A personal sun would appear in a different place for each person. More nonsense. So I think you're missing the point of what I'm saying. The haze box that is the sky is individual to each of ourselves, and yet we all see it as kind of the same thing. And when we look at it, we all agree at what it is. The visible universe is centered on the visible universe for you is centered on your head, literally. And it is slightly offset from mine by a couple of 100 kilometers, I'm guessing. But yes, we will agree on the observations. So what they're describing for the sun could be an effect such as that, where it's an illusory sun, which is an optical phenomena. For example, the rainbow, that's another example, right? A bunch of us can be standing, and if there is rain falling on one end and sun shining on the other, you will see a rainbow which is at 30 degrees or 20 degrees around your line of vision directly as the sun is hitting you in the back of the head, right? If you put a line from the sun through your head, there will be a halo which is at 30 degrees. That halo, that rainbow that you're seeing is unique for each and every individual observer. And that does not mean that another observer would see your rainbow as tilted sideways. No, they wouldn't see your rainbow. They would see their rainbow, which is perfectly aligned with 20 degrees. Right? So in that way, it could work. The only thing that's missing there.
I've got a counter argument to all of that, because that example doesn't have cause and effect, whereby we see the sun's energy and we can see shadow and measure that. So,
and that was my next sentence. And the only thing that's missing from that is the explanatory model. Like, tell me how.
I like the steel manning. I like the steel manning nature of this, though, and I like doing that and trying to explain like most of the flat Earth claims to give them validity. The only one that I've ever personally come up with that I can accept that it could be invalidated due to it being possible, not that it's probable, but that it's possible, and that's the faking of the Himawari images. I think if someone gave me, I don't know, a team of 4 or 5 artists, 2 developers, and a budget for a year, I'd be able to get that off the ground and produce exactly the same thing. but that's the only one out of all of the claims that I could actually steel man to a point where I could do something. I could pull it off.
I know, but if you cannot still man the argument, you cannot fight against it. You're like you can discard it, you can call it rubbish, but if you don't understand it to a point of it making sense, then you're not thinking about what an honest flat earther is thinking. You might be thinking about what a Poe is thinking, which might not make sense, and in that case, you're just not doing anything.
Is this a trend though in the flat Earth community now that people are getting a little bit more less pragmatic, less logical, more fallacious, and more just I don't know, they can understand and they can grasp and the need to believing it? Is it getting more desperate, or is the trend? Is it? Do you actually? Because I've only been here in like the last 4 weeks or something. Has it got more and more desperate over the years?
Yeah, less confidence, less. I would have called it evidence then, but it's instead of having something to bring to the table, it's now can you control the conversation? It's the majority of the idea now. That's why I don't like debating, because debating is it's not even you don't gain information from debating, in my opinion. It's and no one wants to learn anything if they're listening to a debate, because they're usually on a side, and the views are going to come at you very biased, like hardcore. So it's hard to distinguish what is what in a debate, and I think they realize that, and that's why, for instance, Nathan Thompson just had a debate, and he won, but he didn't bring anything, no evidence. But it wasn't about evidence being brought; it's who has the best argument in a debate.
How did he win? Who was he debating, by the way?
Some random lady off YouTube. And he would have won because the lady only was being personal. You're crazy, this, blah, blah, blah. And didn't have any clue about the shape of the earth. And so the second that Nathan asks a question or gives his opinion, she can't answer for it. When you're looking at a debate, like I said, you're not looking for how factual the information is. It's who's more convincing in a debate. That's why they have you vote to see what did you think before you heard the debate, halfway through the debate, and at the end, because they know that a debate isn't something that you're logically going to deduce the information you're getting and come to a conclusion. You're gonna take all that rapid fire shit in, and that's the winner or loser of it. That's the crazy part. I mean, debates probably are supposed to be different, but that's what they are that I know of them here in flat Earth globe debating.
I've yet to see one that settled anything. They're just arguments. They're not debates.
Ever. I've gotten through more. I mean, I realized that we do live on a globe through discussion. I didn't do the whole yelling out. If I did, it was me being triggered, and it was at the end of the conversation already anyway. But at the debate Flat Earth and more, there's so many people that are fucking geniuses that have no problem sitting down and explaining an hour's worth of information if you act like you actually care. That's all it takes. If you act like you give a fuck, they'll sit. I have had guys sit in that Discord server explaining certain things over and over again, because I different aspects of it I'd have a question about, and they'd really let me break it down to answer the questions. And if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have got the information correctly. I wouldn't have been able to figure out how I could get that information to fact check them, because that is an issue. If you don't trust a lot of things, it's hard. How do you trust someone to give you more information? But that's kind of fucking ass backwards anyway. That whole trust thing. What's up, Timmy? How you doing, sir?
Good. I just I can't believe that you say that movie made you switch after everything we went through. And
no. I did not say that. I said that was the tipping point. That was the last straw. I said
But I hear Globers all the time saying Bob proved with the ring laser, and I hear people say Jaron proved the curve and stuff. I mean that's not even true. I don't know why they say that.
If anything, he just proved that their flat Earth experiments don't work. That's what he showed me. It didn't prove globe or anything. It just shows me how disingenuous they are.
Well, I mean, the whole fiber optic gyro thing, that took them a year and a half. And Bob just yesterday said that he came out with the information, even though I was the one that released it a year and a half later. And he was the one that was on the movie saying it was a ring laser when it was a fiber optic. And so, yeah, they're he says he's a commercial pilot, a professional engineer, neither of which he is. Says he's a professional ham operator, which he's not. So, I mean, I can tell flat earthers that, but they don't get it.
That's what I'm realizing now, and it's becoming so clear that it's frustrating the shit out of me. I think I've calmed down since the last few days, but yeah, it put me in last week put me in a tailwind. Like I had everything that I thought just kind of just went in a whole mush. I actually for the weekend was thinking, fuck, am I the only was I the only honest flat earther? That's what I thought about all weekend, and it just fucked with my brain. It doesn't make sense. And then like the way you explain it, Barney, where it's that switch that's not there, that doesn't. Then it's kind of the same reason, but even then, I don't see how you don't learn your way back out of that. I mean, you can always start somewhere, but there's always you should always be trying to progress.
It's a religious belief. They love the feeling of it, the conspiracy of it, the whole aspect of the community basis of it. So a lot of them are lost. I've only seen probably 15 come out of it, and a lot of them just kind of back off and you never see them again. But there's probably 15 I can name off that were flat earthers and came out of it.
Sean, just really quick question. Why? Because this is a much more interesting question to, what did you think was true or false? But why did you want to believe in flat Earth?
I didn't.
Why
No. That was never my thing. It was never. I have to prove flat Earth. It was. It looks flat to me because I look around and it looks flat. And I didn't understand past that, so that's as far as my knowledge of it went. But I know it never needed to be flat to me. If anything, I've always said it. I can give a shit less, honestly. But if we're talking about it, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I don't think you're a typical flat earther. Then I don't think.
No,
from my limited experience, it's like there is a need to believe in this, not and a great want, and unless you figure out why that is the case, you're actually arguing against a brick wall.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing I realized. I had to realize, and that's why I really don't want to debate. I wouldn't debate it with a religious flat earther. I am under the assumption and full belief that someone with a religious belief compared to my belief are so fundamentally different that same thing will happen. To tell someone that there is no God who believes in a God, it's that they don't it's impossible for them to think you know what the hell you're talking about. And vice versa. Like, it's kind of one of those just disconnects, but it's kind of like what Barney was saying again. But I mean, we kind of rate what's okay to do that with and what's not okay. I mean, no one says it's not okay to do that with religion, but it's done with religion.
But what's interesting with the Great Debate, there are many, many Christians and many, many atheists that would prior the other side, basically. So as far as the flat earth, we don't see too many people jump off the flat earth ship. But you see that a lot with the Great Debate, a lot of them.
Well, they become the prominent debaters, the people who understand the other side and who know kind of what the dark side of it is, what their internal doubts were, what the misunderstandings were. Like that's for me the greatest part. Finding that point of misalignment. Why aren't you understanding this? What is it in this specific thing that we're talking about, whichever it is, that is making me think this and you think this? Where is it that we diverge from just being human and knowing language?
Unfortunately for
And
most of the Globers, they don't understand the conspiratorial bias, and that's kind of where I came in, where I could actually talk to them about conspiracies and kind of cope with them with that. But even at that, it doesn't work because it's such a divisive topic: flat Earth versus globe Earth. They just don't. They don't understand, and really they're taught to stick their head in sand basically about things like the sky. Like the sky tells us we're on a sphere, hands down. There's no other way to. There's no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So they just say, oh, what is it? Not tangible, or have you ever touched a star? Therefore, we can't make observations. I mean, that's what they have to do. That's what they have to do. It's crazy.
Yeah, that was the one thing I realized right away because I remember actually I think it was probably you who even said it to me about the star the way the star pattern is, and I went, no, dude, like I'm so in depth with this blah 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 blah. I haven't had a chance to look up. I haven't looked, but when I did, it was like, yeah, I mean, shit, flat Earth has to kind of explain that, and I have not heard one.
Well, you guys were talking about the personal atmospheric dome, and like I pointed out in some of my videos, that was swiped from Walter Bislin's website. 20 days later, Jaron starts talking about it on his channel and on Globebusters shortly after as well, which that video was removed. But that personal atmospheric dome was something that Flat Earth Dome model, Walter Bislin, in Google, and you can find it. That's where he got it from.
Yeah, Walter was just playing around trying to see how goofy it would have to be to make it work. That's basically what he did.
And he's damn close at it too. That's pretty. I mean, it's pretty amazing what he did there.
Yeah, it is. It is. But you just see how ridiculous you got the links you have to go to make it work.
That's of course on the AE map. You got your simulation porridge monkeys over on Awake Souls and Limitless channel, where they basically say that there's a Pac-Man sun. And
yeah.
the sun, there's clouds behind the sun, and Jesus' name is Yahushua, and just my God,
Tim, you probably know better than me. How the f had they come up with a Pac-Man? Like I've heard the Pac-Man one time. I think it was from them, and like it right off the bat went, "What are you fucking retarded? Like what?" Like
it's just it's another projection. It's a stereographic projection, so you can turn it into a sphere. They just found, and they'll admit to you basically that the sphere Earth observations pretty much work on the sphere. So they're actively looking for the best quote unquote map, which is really a projection for their belief, because they started with that premise and they won't let it go. Basically.
Oh yeah, of all like Nathan and his fucking just crazy antics, like those two, I don't know why they call themselves a team. Those two, they're by far the deepest you can go. Like they're gone. Like a year and a half ago, I dealt with those guys, and it was like, okay.
You talking about Oakley?
No, I'm talking about Limitless and Wake Soul, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those guys are a special gone. I remember, it was like a year and a half ago. They were talking about like we need to destroy flat Earth. Like they won't listen to our map presentations. I was like, oh shit.
There's nobody more gone than Quantum Eraser, in my opinion. When somebody can look at the globe Earth model after this long and go to Google Earth, look at Stanley's Pontchartrain Bridge observation, and say, "Oh, look, the elevation's the same. Flat Earth proven." I mean that, and then the whole thing is that Nathan knows better, and he allows it. So Nathan isn't a flat Earth thing. He's not. He's just putting on a show.
Oh yeah, well, I'm not sure if I caught a guy made a little clip of his, and I call it the debunking of Soundly, and the way Nathan like the way he reacted to Quantum Eraser saying that what he said, it was like, I know when he hit stop recording, he was like, don't ever fucking say that shit again. Never repeat that shit ever again. Like
he said it 3 more times. You know that, right?
Are you serious?
Yeah, I just was on the panel the other day saying, "Hey, do you really not know what an elevation is on a globe?" And then he goes into level equals flat, and then he starts looking up synonyms for level. And I mean, that guy is impossible, dude.
Yeah,
On my channel, I have a video with Cathexis, me, Gem Panda, like from 3.5 years ago, where he's saying the same shit. And I told him, this is creation science, man, just the other day on Nathan's. This is creation science. That's what you're trying to do. You have a premise that God exists or whatever, and furthermore, he's the only Christian I've ever heard that says that Christianity isn't a religion. And then they go around calling other people fundamentalist religious people that
Yeah.
believe in the globe. I mean,
I've luckily,
Well,
I've only heard bad. I've only talked to Quantum Eraser one time in my whole life, and that was after I'd already left Flat Earth, and it was over at the server over there, that pseudo one or whatever, and he said, like, in the time I talked to him, he sounds like a person who decided a while ago that science just wasn't good enough. He needed to add to it. So he made up his own science. And if you can't answer his science questions, then you're not smart enough to be dealing with him.
he's the one where there's a false dichotomy that science equals scientism, and science is inherently against the Bible and the God of the Bible. So therefore, he has to go around and basically denounce science. And what's even more funny to me is that they don't allow the Cavendish, they don't allow Foucault pendulum, but they will allow the double slit experiment, the quantum eraser experiments. I mean, it's unbelievable, the hypocrisy over there.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does. Well, he's all enamored with the double slit experiment, because he can turn that around and say, "Oh, see, that really means there is a God."
Yep.
That's what he's doing.
I don't. I have no clue about that discussion. How does that?
I didn't have it, but I got to tell you, I couldn't find enough oven mitts the day I listened to him telling us that the elevations at both ends of Pontchartrain Causeway are the same. Therefore, it must be flat. What? What did he think he was going to see?
He literally is thinking in his head, okay. Actually, you know what? The other day, you guys have to watch the Sunday Ballbusters within the first 30 minutes. Just go check it out. Trust me. Okay. He literally was saying that he had pictures of like a boat and all this kind of stuff. And he basically rotated it like 90 degrees and was saying, if you're on the equator, this is how you should see things.
Yeah, those are the best ones. Like somebody was showing, like, look at this picture of the globe. Australia is on top. That's wrong. Everybody knows that Australia is on the bottom of the globe. How are they changing it up now to, like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'd like to say something about that. I'd like to say that I do realize that we live on a globe now, but I will say now that Australia is fake. They believe they are time travelers. This is ridiculous. I talk to about 10 of them every night on the Debate Flat Earth server, and they all admit to time traveling except on Sundays. Exactly, they're crazy. Australia, not real people.
I need to let my dad know he lives in Australia.
Oh shit! Yeah, you should let him know quick style. There may be a small situation.
And definitely don't let them with the rhetoric. They try to denote the situation by calling it like, oh, you're spinning on a ball, a spinning ball rocket flying through space, and you're a monkey and all this shit. Don't let them do that. I keep hearing that. Yeah, I'm a ball earther. It's just it's stupid.
Actually, Tim, just on that fact, I say, don't call me a ball earther. If you do, I'll call you a dinner plate earther or a frisbee earther, because you're trivializing the size of a planet down to an object that I can play something with.
That is the biggest problem. We need to realize there are no flat earthers. Only globe deniers. That's it. Gotta stop saying flat earthers.
I agree.
The two of them.
Whereas planet deniers is better.
Well, the thing is they admit to being flat earthers. They think they know that the earth is flat. So therefore, in a certain sense, they are flat earthers.
Well, with science buffs like Quantum Eraser, Nathan, and and ranty, I could, I could see why they. I don't see. I would think they would be the worst teachers. Everything they see is globe.
But I mean, they also contradict themselves continuously.
Mhm.
Like we can see too far and it's flat, and then they'll bring up like Ranty's observations of like hundreds of feet of things missing, and then literally we're up to about 67 different excuses that they've said
I
over the years
fucking
now.
love the shit out of that. That is so fucking awesome, man. You're a genius for making that. I'm telling you that right now. That is
That's Everett Anderson, but
yeah.
we all pitch in and try to find more
That,
basically.
that is. Oh, I love that thing.
Those guys, they want to talk about the Blackpool Tower, only they only want to talk about the 3 feet of it that they should see, right? They don't want to talk about the 500 feet that's missing.
Yeah, there's always something missing. Like I was talking
They
earlier
want to
about.
talk. They want to talk about that 3 feet and say, "Oh, that's too small. You can't see that." Angular resolution. Well, yeah, you're right. Angular resolution. Now, what happened to the other 500 goddamn feet of the tower? Where did it go?
Well, things disappear from the bottom up
Yeah, I
with
know.
perspective, obviously.
Riley's criterion, yeah, I mean it's just evolved into an infinite regression of it's just crazy.
Hey Tim, you've been around a while. So has the whole sun explanation been the same the whole time, where they show you a light in front of your face and it moves straight back? Has it
Yep.
always been that?
Yep, and then I say, hey,
I-
well, look at that light's angular size. How come
I'm
the
like-
sun's angular size doesn't change?
I'm like, motherfuckers, when the hell do you ever, and like I said, when have you ever in your life seen the sun just go directly out in front of you, like just away from you in the sunset? It doesn't happen. Why?
Well, deep
Because
inside the rabbit hole had one time. It was 3 years ago. Someone made a conception, literally CGI, to show what the flat Earth sun would look like, and he thought it was real and used it on his channel.
ooh.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Is that the one like where it's like kind of filming like in a backyard, like Hawaii or some shit like that?
No, it was more like I think it was like deserty, if I remember correctly.
I think that may have been his first solar or solar filter attempt. I think I don't remember. I didn't really watch much of him, but yeah, no, that's I think it was Dean. I think you asked a question earlier about where flat Earth is at, and in my opinion, and shit, Tim would be the best to explain it. I personally think they're fucked right now because all their content creators are all fucking themselves right now. Like they're all in some kind of shit stick.
Well, in a
Having
way,
to
I
explain
mean,
something.
it's kind of asked backwards to me, where they're like, "Oh, we got to get this mainstream," but the mainstream media lies about everything. But their whole goal is to get it mainstream, and then every time it goes mainstream, it goes bad. So we had National Geographic this year. We had Behind the Curve, and the other one where it's Logan Paul. Where anytime they try to get the word out, it's just a complete mockumentary of them.
Yeah, I'm going to share my screen if you don't mind,
Yeah,
Sean.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, and at the same time, while they do that, it's like you see the droves. It's like everyone's like, "No, we don't. Fuck that. We're not with them. We don't trust them." And then like if something good happens, they're like, "We're with them. We're definitely they know what's going on." Something bad happens. Oh, I wasn't with them. No. What? I wasn't with them. I don't watch them. And the realization is like, hey, this all flat Earth had to come from one spot and it branched out. And as far as I can tell, Eric Dubay and that Matt Powerland dude, they're not as smart as our scientists. So why do you guys believe them at all?
Yeah, and another weird thing I exposed like 3-4 years ago actually was Eric Dubay right before the whole flat Earth meme, before he went to Thailand in his hometown, basically got $100,000 payout from a vaccine and supposedly has Guillain-Barré syndrome.
What the hell is that?
It's something that's very debilitating. So the yoga guy, for some reason, has GBS, which seems to not match up very well. I'll put that in your chat.
Confused.
I keep showing this to flat earthers based on their sun or globe deniers, planet deniers, whatever we want to call them. And I try and explain to them, and I ask them, I will work with you. Tell me where to put this orbit path so that we can kind of, right now this camera I think is in Florida.
No,
You know,
oh shit, man! I should have been talking to you. Can you position yourself directly under that?
yeah. Well, I'll put it over. Wait a minute. Where's Florida? Florida. There we go. Oh no. So we'd be looking at what's that? Oh, what is this here? Yucatan Peninsula thing.
Okay, so I asked this question, and I didn't get a good answer or a very understandable answer for myself. Okay, so right now we're positioned directly under the sun. Right, you look up directly 90 degrees. The sun's right there.
Yeah, wait a minute. Let me just put this camera directly under the sun. Just so this is as near as directly under the sun as I'm going to get looking up at it. And this is what we're looking at now.
Okay. So between the tropics of Cancer, tropic of Capricorn, which and guys, it's as layman's because if I try to think of exactly how to say it, it won't come out right. How the sun moves between the two.
I can't simulate that.
No. Just being under it like this is what I need is perfect. Do this view right here. Do we see that? Can we see that in different locations throughout the year, or only at the equator during the equinox?
What on this map?
On this hypothetical map that we're just.
Sorry, ask your question again, Sean.
Okay,
I'm a little bit lost.
Right now. Today, right this second, so we're pretending it's the equinox, and you're directly under that sun right there. So throughout the year, are there other places that will get this observation? No, stop. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I fucked up. On a globe.
On a globe.
How we are today, for real, like fuck playing patty cakes for real. Is there any other location that would have that view? So that's what you get on the equinox, right?
Yeah,
on the equator. Okay, so is there other places in the globe that we can have this observation throughout the year, not on the equinox?
So the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn will have it twice a year. All the points in between those two latitudes will have it twice a year.
Right.
Okay, but it's not an everyday thing.
No.
It's not an everyday thing. Well, it is an everyday thing if you change your location.
It'll happen in one latitude a day, basically.
The sun is directly overhead at somewhere on the Earth at all times.
Well, see, the thing is, what I'm trying to get at, so actually, if you can go back to your flat Earth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I was going to say I built an actual solar system here that is to scale with the orbit of the moon and the sun and our lovely little planet here. If you wanted to,
oh man, we got to talk because this is perfect. I need this. I need someone who does this, and I can explain something, and you can be like, this is what's happening. But
I can go back to the other one.
Go to the flat Earth one because now it's the flat Earth question.
So, wait a minute! I've also, by the way, got to make a flat square Earth, which is another. Well, there's another. So I showed this to someone today. I think on Jose's. I think it might have been not Arwen. It might have been Merle, actually, if you know about Merle. And he doesn't think it's.
Merle's
two of them didn't. Yeah, no, two of them didn't think it's a disc. They think it's like a flat plane. So I've now got to find a map that I can.
Now here's the thing.
The Bible says four corners of the earth, therefore it has to be. Yep.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting for me. I like that.
So a better way to do it really is what's interesting here is you can take from timeanddate.com and get the equinox and the solstices, and these are known basic observations of the sun and the moon and how much is lit up of the earth, but it is fairly close for them actually.
But
well, is it though? Because the attenuation of this light source here does not match what we see at all, really.
Well, how much is lit up is what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah. So the fall off for this being an omnidirectional light source would never be able to light light it like we would see on a sphere.
Yeah, I mean, it's a physical object, but they have the supposition that it might be metaphysical in some kind of a.
Oh yeah, the second they say that, I'm out. I can't explain metaphysics, nor can they demonstrate it. So
yeah, but it is pretty interesting to see that it works fairly well. But then again, these are just projections, not maps.
But this is what I don't understand though, because if you're standing on a flat map and you're standing on a globe, and you're basically time lapsing a whole year, and you're looking at, and your observation is where the sun's at through the sky, is it going to be the same? That's what I'm having trouble with. Like, is there, if for one it proves that everything, that the moon and the sun is a sphere shape, because we'd be observing them from both sides, right? On a flat Earth.
Oh yeah, I mean the flipped moon in the southern hemisphere and all that kind of stuff doesn't work. But they still don't understand that from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Tropic of Cancer in the southern hemisphere summer, the sun would have to be doing like twice the distance or more to cover that distance.
And that's what I said. We have the daytime is the same every day, and then when daylight no. Daylight savings has nothing to do with it. You would have to explain how the hell the days are the same, even though, like you said, the sun has to slow down and speed up. And
what do you mean the days are the same? The days aren't the same.
No. Well, they are. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but we have the same.
Not even close. In the winter, we have way less sunlight. So the day time of the sun being up is way less than when it's
by how many hours?
Quite a bit. You can look at time of day.
Yeah, further north and south you go, the worse that gets.
So I'm at 46 degrees latitude, and we get the perfect range of 8-hour daytime at winter and 8-hour nighttime at summer.
I kind of see what you're saying, and I think, well, for me, like, so I live in California. So regardless of daylight savings and throughout the year, it's like we kind of like our daytime kind of starts earlier, the night comes, like that varies, but our times don't really change too much here. But I see what you're saying, because like in Texas, it's like it gets dark right now, like 9 o'clock. It doesn't, stuff like that. Like I guess I didn't think about that aspect of it, but to me it still doesn't, that change, it would be that drastic. The days are basically the same if you're comparing it to what it would be like on a flat Earth.
He just said he had a 6-hour difference, or no? What is that?
8-hour difference.
The further north and south you go, you're gonna definitely have quite a bigger difference, and that's why there's a 24-hour sun in the Antarctic. And
okay, that's
right.
Yeah, I was just I was on Iceland in January, and they had like 5 hours of daytime or something like that.
Then that's just me I didn't realize or take that into account for it. But thank you though, because I didn't take that into account when I was thinking about that. But even still, that whole the overhead observation isn't what we observe, right? So like a flat Earth, seeing both sides, like we don't see it that way. Which means also that they're not local, basically.
Definitely not local. Doesn't change number size throughout the day.
Because if it was local, that would make more sense. What's depicted on that, not your guys' model, I know. On that flat Earth, what we were seeing, it would have to be local for that to make sense.
It would have to be local. It would have to be individual to the observer.
Yes.
Pretty much.
There is no
single sun do that. It won't work.
Any model which has a unified physical sun on a flat Earth is impossible.
All right, well, that's right.
Unless it's a simulation.
Unless
it's got that shape-shifting lampshade on it.
I was something more interesting about all of this is you could just work this out. You could work out that it's it's a very distant object just based on angles and observations and triangulation and trigonometry will tell you that this thing, whatever it is huge and too far away. Because when you make the same observations with the moon, you can actually work it out to within like a 5% error tolerance.
That's the other thing I noticed.
Yes,
Where
easily.
lasers are all the rage to them, where lasers are going to prove flat Earth. The second you talk about a laser headed towards the moon or a ham radio, like their whole idea of how that works all of a sudden just doesn't work. Like I hear people talking about HARP and the ionosphere, and then you get to fucking lasers and ham radios, and all of a sudden their brain just switches off. Like somehow we can't get anything up there.
Yeah, I mean Bob himself, he told me, and Owen Benjamin, he's a pro ham radio operator, and I was like, hey Bob, do you ever bounce off the moon? I mean, good lord! Like then they're like, well, we don't know bouncing off the ionosphere. And it's like, no, actually, you have to hit the moon. So yeah, they're not even trying anymore, truthfully.
Did he really say he was a professional amateur radio operator?
Oh yeah.
But that's what I was saying.
Okay.
I think like the content
Because
creators are really on a downhill right now.
Well, I haven't had my amateur radio license expired in the late 90s, but I became a ham operator in 1961.
Yeah, but were you a professional amateur?
But I was not a professional. I was just an amateur radio operator. So I guess maybe my shit doesn't count. But even in the early 70s, we were doing Earth Moon Earth bounce on 432 megahertz. I've done it myself.
That's crazy.
It works. And you can't deny it either. I mean, there's nothing else to bounce it off of, for God's sakes.
Yeah, because another issue I had, and Curve, if he was here, he'd laugh at me, because I always knew the moon wasn't because of this. I went to a place that's actually about 15 minutes from me, up in the mountains, where it's a FAA surveillance site / a direct energy laser or direct laser site. It's not energy laser. It's direct laser site where they actually go up there and use the laser to do that, to bounce it off the moon and everything.
Yeah.
It's not the exact same as the reflector one. It doesn't do the same thing. It's not hitting the reflectors. I know that, but yeah, it always triggered a lot of flat earthers because I always knew the moon was not local. That's how I never went that way, because I talked to the people that were there. They explained to me how this thing works. I looked into it, and it made perfect sense. And I actually went up there one night and got to watch them, take a couple shots. It's really not worth going to see, guys. Don't do it unless that's your job or something. It's boring to do that. But it was fun. My son got to go up there and see what was going on. But let me see. I'm trying to pull up the pictures right now.
Hell, we've been bouncing radar off the moon since the early 1950s.
Yeah, and I always thought it was the reflectors only, but that's just like a really super efficient way of doing it, is what that is.
Well, that's a very precise way.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Because the moon actually is a sphere, contrary to the flat Earth that we live on. The moon is a sphere, and the laser's pretty wide when it gets up there. So you without a reflector, you get all kinds of different opinions about how far away the damn thing is.
But but it's still see. I think
you get a range of stuff, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I'm trying to get this. Hang on one second. I'm trying to get the picture on the my OBS a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go.
Well, those retro reflectors up there, they can measure the distance to within a few centimeters.
Is it true they really send like trillions of photons or something and only receive a handful back?
Yes. Basically.
It's kind of hard to believe, really.
It's hard to believe, but imagine how big I'm about to get to I'm trying to find the actual laser. That's not even the laser. That's I believe the receiver. I think that receives the data or something like that. But the laser is somewhere around here. Yeah.
Hey, Tim, have you ever done any laser observations across Great Salt Lake when the water's warm and the air's warm and there's less refraction?
No way. I find lasers to be just not worth anything over long distance.
Well, I agree that like LED light bends like crazy, but what's been bugging me lately is all these flatties talking about laser tests, and you know they're doing them over cold water where the air is super dense and it's bending right around the curve. But I'd like to figure out a way to shut them up because they just don't understand how easily lasers bend.
Well, I think the whole point of a laser is for them to kind of prove like the line of sight or something, which to me, photography does that just fine, really. But you know, when they went up to Lake Balaton or wherever that was in Hungary or something, you know, I think they were doing it over fairly cold water and had the light bend as well. So they should know that.
Well, it'll bend more over cold water because the air's denser. I mean, unless you got like real humid, muggy, misty conditions. But as a rule, the cold air is denser, right? So it'll bend it even more. But that laser thing's starting to drive me batty. But like you say, if they can see their laser, they should also be able to see it with a P900 zoomed in, right? During the daytime, they should be able to see that same target.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Yeah.
I think what they don't understand
did a video on that about lasers.
Yeah, the laser, the beam divergence on a laser is going over any considerable distance is going to be huge.
Yep.
You'd have to get military grade designators that would cost you tens and tens of thousands of dollars for it to be anything other than, you know, 50 foot if you're going over kilometers. So, and the other thing is you've got a real, obviously you've got bending, you've also got diffraction as well to contend with. Just like, you know, light is a wave, it will conform to what waves do, which is propagate outwards. So there's loads of reasons why you would see a laser where, you know, the physical geometry is hiding it. And you can there's loads of things on YouTube where you can prove this, like locally on a small scale as well.
It'll scatter off of water droplets and all. You know, you can just have all kinds of effects.
If you were wondering the size of the laser, that black thing is the cover. That whole thing is the size of the laser that they shoot to the moon. It's not like a pen laser, guys. This thing is freaking huge. That's insane.
You're not going to carry that bad boy into the conference room with you.
No.
So you don't want to be flying a light aircraft anywhere near near the path of that thing, then.
Nope. But the ironic thing is right next, like within maybe I think it's 2 miles, 2 mile hike maybe, is this place over here. That's a FAA surveillance site.
Wait a minute. Zoom in on that. Let me see what it is.
That's about as far as I can get right now. But I have extra close pictures. I was just to the east.
It looks like radar.
It used to be an aircraft or Air Force surveillance site, and then FAA took over, and now it's an FAA surveillance site.
It's just a radar site. It looks like that's a radar dome.
In correlation with, I forget what it is, but I know the laser site and that site are separate now. They're not the same thing anymore. But you can Google. I think it's like Google J30 site in San Diego, and it'll pop up. Do it real quick.
It's not a VOR. I know that. It just looks like a radar. They got those things scattered all over the place.
How about that little guy that went on Oakley's today? What a champ, eh? Didn't buy into his bullshit for nothing.
Yeah, I listened to about a minute of it, and I just said, "You're messed up, dude," and just left because that's always been crossing the line to me. Dell did it first, you know, talking to kids and stuff, and then Authentic Intent, you know, goes out and starts talking to kids. Literally, I turned on one time. There was like a 4-year-old and like a 7-year-old in this park. I have no idea where their parents were, but he walks up, thinks it's a good idea to stick a camera in their face and starts telling them that NASA lies and Santa Claus is fake and all this shit. I mean, these people are just sickening, man.
Yeah, that was the one thing I never got, because here's the reality of it. Even if I still believed it was flat, my son is in a his education system does not acknowledge that. You still have to have an education to survive, and until flat Earth would be in the curriculum in a sufficient amount of schools, my son still needs an education. My son still needs to be smart. I was he had I had nothing, no reason in the world to ever say a damn word to him about it.
Well, yeah, honestly, Sean, if you said that gravity doesn't exist and it's just pressure and buoyancy, and you managed to convince him of that, I'm pretty sure he'd fail physics.
Well, see, that's the thing. I that'd be the thing though. If he asked me, even he, I mean, he asked me questions all the time when I thought I was a flat earther. The thing is I never went my opportunity. I can make a flat earther now. And this is, I went, no, wait, the fuck? My son needs to function still. This is how it works. Until I know, how the fuck am I going to tell him some mythical shit that I want him to follow? He's going to go out and say that shit and go get fired from a job because he thinks Pluto is a fucking dog on Disney and not a planet. It is a planet. I don't care what anyone says.
I agree with you, Sean.
Thank you. That's
Well,
a
that-
damn planet. That's a
And
damn
the
shame.
education,
Those some bitches don't have any right to go messing around with Pluto. God damn it, that was a good planet. There's nothing wrong with that planet.
Yes, I agree. It's fucking travesty.
they act like the education system indoctrinates kids, but I mean, when I was in school, I liked science class because it was all hands-on. It was all we were burning shit and blowing shit up and melting shit. Like it was all we were doing experiments. We had to repeat what we learned in the textbook, right? Like it's not like they just told us this is how it is.
That's right.
Yeah, that's the worst part. That Red Media, he gets probably the most triggered by someone saying indoctrinated. But I get it though, because it's like it took if it let's just pretend it took what 20 something years of indoctrinating to convince us of things that we could test ourselves and are correct. But within 5 years, you believe a whole paradigm and have nothing to back it with. What's indoctrination?
It's basically teaching a person to accept something, a set of beliefs, but the whole thing is uncritically. It doesn't necessitate that those beliefs are incorrect. It's more about the uncritical nature of it. So in a way, like history class going in, just reading, about 9/11 and all this kind of stuff, that is to me still somewhat indoctrination. I mean, because it is kind of like here's the facts in this book. Let's read it, and you're tested on it. So
Yeah, but
Yeah,
but in a school curriculum, that's kind of it's hard to say that because the information is definitely nitpicked. Like it's picked. It's not just everything. It is definitely picked in its information. Uh, and you know what? Maybe it's because I haven't picked a fucking book up in a minute. But matter of fact, fuck it. What do they say about 9/11? Because honestly, I have no idea. So I'd rather know before I say something about it.
the official story.
See,
They don't go into, I'm sure, 9/11 Commission report or NIST or pancakes or Building 7 or anything like that. But
see, that's odd because they talk about like Pearl Harbor. They even have the mentions of possible knowledge. Nothing like how real it is, but they do whisper of something happening during Pearl Harbor. The information about maybe it's because I'm in that community, the conspiracy theorist community, that I know all of them, but there seems like a few that are like kind of just out there. Whereas
they'll definitely omit things like Operation Northwoods definitely won't be included. Gulf of Tonkin surely won't be included. Many things will not be included, and it's all about hoorah USA.
So that's kind of like where I was going to get at with why I think they do it. Kind of like earlier they were talking about NASA. I think you guys are saying you're 100% correct. I think it's more of selling it to kids. The kids got to want to go there. You know what I mean? They want to have to learn about that, and the real images aren't worth a shit. I mean, I'm pretty sure they even started doing it just because the scientists got sick of looking at just paper and numbers. But it's there, guys, and I'm sorry we all can't go there right now. But our great grandkids, they'll know for a fact where the fuck we live. That's for damn sure.
All that Jaron needed to basically prove that the Earth is a sphere was if the astronauts on the moon, if they would have thrown golf balls to each other, that definitely surely would have proved it to him. He said that many times. And then, of course, the 24-hour 4K stream from the moon, that would prove it to him for sure. So.
Yeah.
But a transit, a bunk test, and years of being explained how wrong you are, those don't do it, huh? Damn.
Yeah.
You would think the logical stuff would be the way.
Yeah, I don't know how NASA missed it. I mean, goddamn, with all the smart people they got working for them, how could they have forgotten to put Jism's goddamn camera on the space station, running 24 hours a day so that he could see the lights at night or what the hell ever his problem is?
He wants it from the moon now. He wants a 4K HD camera on the moon. He says it's 2019, man. Why don't we have a 4K camera on the moon, dude?
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's like
Absolutely.
That's like the mind of God going, "What? It's 2019. We can't fly a drone in a straight line."
No. We can do this.
We can do this. Hashtag we can do this.
So something really interesting is I've just bought my parents an Apple TV 4K for their 4K TV that I just bought them, but I've got an Apple 4K TV and it shows every time I let it just sit there, it goes onto screensaver mode and it goes straight to 4K footage of the outside mounted camera on the ISS doing a full transit of the planet. And it is absolutely stunning. But what's amazing about it is there's hardly any lens distortion whatsoever. And it goes from bright daylight to the nighttime of the planet as well. Now, when it goes to the nighttime, the aperture changes to do proper exposure compensation. And when it does, because it's actually opening the aperture up and boosting the ISO, you can actually start to see stars as well. Wow. And it's absolutely fantastic. And what's brilliant is me and my girlfriend play a game when it comes on. If we walk past it, we've got to guess where it is based on the land masses. But what's lucky is you can just tap the touchpad and it tells you on the bottom left as well, so we can guess and see it's correct. But I play games like that, and it's like these people are denying space and satellites and stuff. It's like,
I think it's a complete shame, because you have to basically deny some of the greatest minds in the world what they've done. They stick rockets up in space. They do all this stuff. And we live in a giant, in my opinion, universe where, we are very small, but, to them, that means that we are nothing. We're insignificant. We're a pale blue dot. We're a piece of sand. And they want to live in something way simpler, basically a flat earth dome model. And some of them actually make the connection that proves God somehow. And God is so myopic that he just creates this little domed flat earth instead of this great expansive universe. So I just don't get where this stuff is rolling around their head and why it does.
Well, yeah, I think religion. When anybody ever goes to religion, I try and stop with that because it's I don't know. It's a hard thing to combat in someone's mind if they've accepted a proposition without evidence based on faith, based on scripture, and based on their own personal experience. I can't really argue with that. I can only tell them what my opinion of it would be, but that's never going to help them based on how strong they feel about God.
Well,
there's creationists versus people like Dr. Seigart and a lot of different people where they are Christian and some of them apologists like presuppositionalists, but they still believe in the Big Bang. That it's not like this 6,000 year model that God made for him and stuff. So the majority of scientists that are actually doing things that are Christians obviously believe in the current science. So it's the creationists, it seems like, that try to start with their premise, obviously, and prove everything abductively, like kind of outwards from there. And even their own people of their own faith are
Oh,
against what they say.
Yeah, you're right, Tim. I mean, that's a fundamentalist point of view.
Yeah.
Well,
You know,
here's the thing, James.
science is falsifiable. We know that. I mean, we're all ready to take another point of view if somebody comes up with a proof that some of this is wrong. But religion is not falsifiable. It is absolute.
Well, here's the problem with the religious aspect of things. My father's an ordained minister, so I know a little bit about the Bible. And here's the thing: you had people that were writing stories back then. Now, this was at a time when rain fell from the sky, and they didn't
Sure.
understand how or why. So they automatically assumed that there had to be an ocean or a cistern above them, which would therefore require some sort of structure to prevent that water from coming down on them.
Of
And
course.
it's stuff like that they just didn't understand back then. They didn't have the tools, they didn't have the knowledge, they didn't have the science. But these freaking flat earthers, they think because it says something in an old book, it's gold. But then you read them something from a science journal, and it's, oh, you're accepting something that man wrote 150 years ago. What are you, crazy?
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, that's what people were doing 5,000 years ago. Same thing we do today. They were staring up at the skies, thinking, what causes that? And they were doing the best they could to explain it. Okay, that's fine. Hello.
Yeah, and even
Oh,
even like the word firmament, that's the result of Paul going from freaking Hebrew area there, wherever the heck they were, over to Rome and preaching to the Romans. There was the language barrier. He had to translate from ancient Hebrew to ancient Latin, and they didn't have a word for firmament. So they believed that their gods were living in the stars above them. So when he had to translate their Hebrew word that basically meant expanse or sky, and he's trying to get it across to them, the closest word they had was firmament, which was the dome where their gods reside in the sky. And that's where it came from. But these guys, they'll preach the Bible without even knowing its history.
Yeah, and it was definitely not written in English, so I think it was something like Raka or something like that. That actually doesn't exactly mean uh, a hard, fast barrier like a lot of flat earthers are trying to pitch.
Yeah, it literally means like expanse. Like it's a very vague word. It's just everything above us. And I mean, even like in the book of Genesis, it says that the birds are flying in the open firmament of heaven. So I mean, they just cherry pick. Like if you're gonna, you got one verse that says the bird out your window is in the open firmament of heaven, and then you'll take another verse that says, something about a platform or a foundation, and say, oh well, it must be on the back of a turtle. Like they're ridiculous.
Is that Nevada or New Mexico or something? Arizona? I lived in San Diego. I had to drive through a bit of that coming. Oh, nice. I was in Coronado Island.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's a radar.
I took this today. I mean, it's okay, but I mean, it's nothing. I did.
Do you
Yeah.
have like that type of like terrain where you live, or
No.
like I mean just wilderness at all?
No.
That's the problem. You need to get out into to the woods, man, away from fucking people. All the hustle and bustle. Just get out, man. It's different. I mean, you'll see. Well, shit, I'll show you these pictures right now. I fucking just well. Plus, I do like backpacking, so I'll go and just hike for a week too, and it's man, it's fucking better than any drug you can do.
Well, this is just the lake that I have, and you can see obstruction on it, but it's only 5 miles, so it's nothing. It's nothing really super impressive, but it's still interesting that there is obstruction over such a short distance. And I'll show you the other one. So this is from like 45 feet up, and I will go. You're gonna have to ignore that momentarily. Sorry about all that. Let's do this one.
I'm just waiting for my favorite part.
So this is down at the ground, right above the water. And I'll finally start zooming in here, and it's like an amazing difference between where I was when I was up higher and how it is when I'm down lower. Like before, you could see like back in here, like the horizon has just moved so much closer. And there's a lot of little things that go
Pause it
on.
real quick.
All right.
Because I want to take a screenshot because it's a really good example of what you're explaining right now. Because I saw like different areas. All right, you're good to go. Where you can see that the mirage lines,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't see
Well,
it so
here-
far away, and like the just the different observations that you see as you're zooming into it. People don't realize like those things fucking matter. Like you got to think about these things now.
You can actually see it like building up
Yeah, that's what I
over
mean.
the surface of the water here. It's kind of cool. But I'll go back to the other footage when I'm up higher and I zoom in right over there. And if you see how this compares, you see how this compares to the screenshot you just took.
Yeah.
You were looking at this point, I believe, before.
Yep.
And the horizon has now moved all the way back here. So something else to notice is all these twigs. Like, oh, they're not twigs, but they're tops of trees.
What kind of camera is that?
This is a P900.
I'm just looking at the spec. I'm actually just looking at the P900.
I
Just
didn't
the
know you got a
specs.
P900.
It's
Yeah.
it's got a terrible sensor.
Oh,
Lewis.
it's so bad. You can
No,
tell
I
from
mean,
the.
yeah, but it's literally the smallest, shittest sensor. I'm actually reading about it now because I'm doing something else. I couldn't believe that it's so small. It's smaller than Micro Four Thirds, which is ridiculous.
I have a buddy who's a professional photographer, and I don't know anything about photography, so I was asking him about long range, and his suggestion to me was to buy a Canon camera, like a Canon T5 or a T6, because they're fairly cheap, and then spend $1,000 on a used telephoto lens, because he said like the Canons are really easy to use, and he said he's a Nikon user himself, but he says like the P900 and P1000s, as cool as the zooms are, the rest of the camera's useless as tits on a bowl.
No, it is. I'm looking at the sensor now, and obviously, the thing that qualifies as a decent sensor is obviously the largest sensor you can get with the largest light receptors, because they're more susceptible to actually being triggered by the light. The bigger the sensor is, you get higher quality. And the sensor of the P900 is infinitesimally small compared to other cameras. It's ridiculous.
So like this is just a still image over on the right side, and maybe I'll go down to the water level and take an image from the same area. I think I might have already passed it. Yeah, this is the view that you have down at the water level. It's like a ridiculously closer horizon, and there's like obvious obstruction going on. And this is about 3 miles away right here. Whereas
Awesome. Got it.
this shore over here, this is the farthest distance. This is about 5 miles away.
From where your shot is right now?
Right. Yeah. And if I go forward down at the level of the water, the quality isn't that good. I should have put more effort into getting a better quality picture, but I don't know. You can clearly, I don't know. You can't actually see that clearly.
Yeah, but that's just something you'll learn with time too. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah. Let's see what's in this last video. Yeah, this is. Oh, I'm just looking at the sky. All right. Yeah, that's all I did.
One thing you got to remember too when you're talking digital cameras like P900 or P1000 or any DSLR that's fairly modern, the size of the actual image, if you were to just print it out raw, is like 30 by 40 inches. So if you take a video and then you go back into your camera mode and take photos from the same distance, you can crop the center of that photo out, still have a crystal clear large image on your screen, so you can compare stuff in better resolution, right? Because you're going to get more resolution, more clarity in a photo than you will in your videos.
Yeah. I'll definitely get a better camera if I get more into this, but I don't think I will. It's just not worth it.
I had a shitty camera, and I loved the shit out of it. If I had a P900, I'd fuck online. I'd be out backpacking and taking pictures all the time.
You should get yourself a better camera, with a better sensor and get like an attachable zoom.
Well, see, the problem is like I'd like to do that, but also I like backpacking, and I couldn't take a camera backpacking like that. It's too heavy.
Yeah, it is. The P900. Yeah, I mean it is heavy. It is heavy. It's a few pounds.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize it when I say heavy, like imagine the old school Walkmans with tape decks. Those are heavy when you're considering heavy for a backpacking trip, because remember you're carrying everything on your back. So my version of heavy is a little different, but yeah, that'd be too heavy. Fuck. Let me see. At the same time, I'm putting my pictures in a file I can use. It's so hard to find all my pictures.
So long, I'm going to get off in a second, but as long as we're sharing, I've just put something in the side chat. I've just laid down a deposit on one of these things. A deposit because they're like gold dust at the moment, and I'm on a waiting list to get one.
Ooh.
It's one of the cheapest but highest dynamic range with the most exposure latitude of any 4K camera, and it also shoots raw 4K video footage, native 4K as well. So that's 4096, not the broadcast 4K. and it's the body is $1,000, but it will outcompete some of the professional video cameras that you end up paying like $3,000 or $4,000 for.
Wait,
Wow.
what the hell do those professional cameras do? That wow, because
you're looking at this now. Who's looking at this now?
that's me right here. I am.
Yeah, so go to products and go to the Ursa. So go to products and then video cameras, and then the Ursa Mini. So the professional cameras, to the left.
Oh, this
nope.
one.
Yeah, professional cameras, and then the Ursa Mini. Once you're in there, so that one there, the Ursa Mini.
Okay.
Yeah, the Ursa Mini Pro is like $5,000. So
Holy
what that
shit.
gives you, it gives you a HD touchscreen, it gives you electronic viewfinder, it gives you a battery that lasts more than 60 minutes. I think it lasts about 5 hours. It gives you time code, it gives logarithmic data to the stream. And let's say you went out and got a DSLR that can do 4K at the bit rate is the important thing, how much data it's actually using per second. So if you imagine something like a Sony A7 will do 800 megabits per second to record the 4K, the camera that's in front of you now will do 500 megabits per second. So you can kind of figure out how much better quality it's going to be. And it shoots RAW, which means full latitude of exposure in a single stream, which your DSLRs can't do. But so is the mini version, the Pocket Cinema 4K that I've just ordered. And they're absolutely fantastic, this company called Blackmagic. Now, just to put this in perspective, a camera to compete with this is something called the Arri Alexa XT, which the starting price on that is about $70,000.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was talking about like a $200-$300 camera. I'm sorry. We're not having the same conversation. I'm sorry. I apologize to get you on. Hang on. Let me get this shit off my screen. We are not
pretty
talking
sure-
the same shit.
I think I'm just going to be sticking with my smartphone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a good iPhone 6S. Is that okay?
No. Wait a minute, Sean. Here you go. If you want to drop a little bit of money, have a look at that last link. The Alexa.
I'm scared.
Yeah. No. The Alexa.
The
Yeah. So the Alexa LF, that thing there. Have a look at that then.
that big ass thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Now wait a minute. I'm gonna tell you that the tiny viewfinder that's near his wrist there. Can you see it? Yeah, that.
Yeah.
That single piece costs about $6,500. So I'm going to leave you to figure out what the rest of the camera and the lens cost.
Get the fuck out of here. No.
Wait a minute. Let me paste this. Here we go. It's a UK price, but you can convert to dollars. So, like I say, I'll just let you figure out what the rest of the camera costs.
That's not even funny. Look.
No.
I'll show you something. Look. See this? Look. Yeah. There it is, right there. See that iPhone? See that iPhone?
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's how I roll. That's how I roll. Hey, you see that little hole in the top left of it? Yeah, that's a camera. That's right. 45 cents. Africa.
Nice.
Yes, right. Jeez, that is insane. Why would you? I'm gonna tell you now. If you guys ever see me with that camera, hide your girl.
You made it big.
Yeah, because I'm looking for one.
Wait a minute though. Just to put this in perspective, that little camera that I'm getting will do a lot of what the big cameras do, but very cheap now. That's at what state we're at technology wise. But I'm buying that.
Stop. How much is this?
The little camera is only that one. That's about $4,000, $5,000.
That's not a little money. It's not a little bit. It's not a little bit at all.
But wait a minute. I've got two shoots.
Hey, wait. Time out. Stingray, man. Do we need to talk in the back like you shoot porn and shit? What you doing on the side, homie?
No.
I've got two video shoots to do. I've already done one, advertising a product of mine, but I've got 2 others to do. And for me to hire a camera operator with one of those cameras for a day costs me about £1,500, which is about $2,100. So they're making $2,100 off me, and I'm going to have that for 2 days. So I'm there like, well, why don't I just buy a fucking camera and do it myself?
And at its
So-
basic settings, that thing gives you basically movie quality imagery, is what you're
Yeah.
saying. At its
Yeah.
basic.
Well, it actually gives you the latitude to grade it after the fact to however you want.
I don't know what that means.
It means when you shoot in the camera, it looks a little bit weird. But when you get it into a grading suite, you can create a visual type of look by color grading it to. Oh, this is a happy scene. This is a horror scene. This is a product scene. This is a you can do whatever you want with it.
Because I use Revolve. Da Vinci's, whatever, Da Vinci's.
Oh my God!
whatever,
Yeah. So that's the same company, Black Magic.
So the way they do their color grading, like you're saying, I think it's worded maybe a little different, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But I'm just learning all that stuff. But that's I'm actually really enjoying that. So it's that's software editing software is, if you want to learn editing, try that one out, because that one you can do everything. You can do.
Well, the company Black Magic, and this is why I like them. They looked. There's another company called Red that do like the Red One, the Red XR, and these came into the market to compete with the Alexa and the Panasonic, and they did things cheap. So you can get a Red 4K for like, I don't know, $8,000, whereas Alexa ones start at like $30,000 to $40,000, and then Black Magic decided, well, why don't we just do a camera with that quality for like a third of the price? And they did it. And then they started just advancing on that model. So they are the cheapest end, but competing with the higher end cameras. And they are absolutely fantastic at doing it as well.
If I bought that camera, like, would I be guaranteed work?
Is
that what that camera brings to the table?
No, you'd probably have to learn how to use it and be artistic as well. Like, it doesn't inject you with the artistic skills to be able to do that.
$4,000, it better take 60% of the expertise in the quality.
Yes, not quite, but yeah,
because that software that I'm using, that Da Vinci one, like I now realize that there's a difference between editing an intro and editing. And I'm really trying to edit a couple things now. And when I say that, like, I'm pretty sure you know of, like, when you like dive deep into a clip and start adjusting the deep stuff inside that clip. Oh man, put it this way, I have a 10-second clip that I've been messing with, and it's taken me 2 months to get it like kind of decent.
Well, here's an interesting thing that I'll leave you with, because I'm going to have to get off in a second. But I've got a client, and one of my artists is doing a job for this client. And he's got a projector room, this client. And the projector is sort of like a Zen room, but it's set up with like 6 projectors that do this 360-degree panorama. Except the video stream that we have to produce to be played on this is 9K wide. So if you think... Sorry?
9K?
Yeah.
You're talking now, like 4K, but better.
Yeah, double and add one, yeah.
Holy shit.
But here's the problem with that. After Effects, Premiere does not write that out. Final Cut Pro does not write that out. The H.264 codec does not encode that. So we're having to come up with ways to create this stream, which was a really simple job because nothing can actually output a 9K wide video stream. It's ridiculous.
So like I just looked at like the quality of my stream. Like I'm looking at my watch page, and I'm at 720p. Are you laughing at me right now? Ha ha ha! You silly 720ers. You 10K or you 1080s. Ha ha ha!
Now we're at 4K now. That's what we're at.
God damn! I wish I could stream at 4K, but what the fuck would you guys look at? Right now, all you guys be looking at Lewis in 4K, and I'd be like, damn, my bad. Just kidding, Lewis. Lewis, for the record, I took your we can do this meme off the list.
That's fine. Like, I don't mind that meme.
But yeah, I'm gonna take the other one off too because I felt kind of awkward feeling sexual for you for a minute.
Well, just really
because
quickly,
of the
guys.
eye contact. Yeah.
Yeah, that one, it was deep.
Mind the God.
I'm happy I
Mind
never
the God.
saw you mad like that either.
Mind the
wasn't-
God did
I
actually
wasn't
say
mad.
something.
All right,
Mind the God did actually say something. I want everybody to hold him to this. He said something that I said. He's run away from me since because I said, we're not talking about anything else. You're going to explain what you just said. His exact words were the following, and he did it in Jose's chat channel today. It was, I don't believe in space because NASA and space, it is all just CGI fakery, exclamation mark. And I've said I'm never going to converse with him again until he gives me the evidence or the logic that led him to that.
He doesn't even
Okay.
know. He didn't even know what you asked just now. He doesn't know when he can talk to you now. He's clueless. I've learned this from. Okay, so here's the thing. Mind of God, he's purposely doing this. There's nothing naive or misunderstood by Mind of God. He knows what he's doing. Seek and Find, I think I have a little bit more compassion for. I think he may be a little bit more wary of information than I expect him to be, or than I think he shouldn't be. So I think I kind of went down hard. I went hard on him and lumped him in with Chris and Mind of God. So I'm gonna say that out loud. You know, Seek and Find. I do apologize for that shit because I do think maybe you're not in the same boat as them, but I clumped you all together because you guys all came here together. But yeah, Mind of God and Seek and Find. Or not Seek and Find, I'm sorry. Mind of God and Chris Berry. Oh, you guys are screwed. You guys have no idea what the kind of can of worms you guys opened. Yeah. Especially Chris. We'll get into that later. I don't want to get into it until my channel's back. But I'm gonna tell you now, the first stream my Sean G channel comes back on, you guys are going to know exactly what I think about this whole strike situation that just popped up out of nowhere.
There's only a handful of things you can think about it, but it'll be good to hear your thoughts.
I'm gonna talk to you about. I'll talk to you about it. I'll DM you. I'll DM you the whole situation because I know
Okay.
I actually need your opinion because I'll talk to you.
Okay.
I don't want to get details yet, but yeah, fuck that. I don't want. I'll get the details now, and I don't want to. But I'm actually gonna go because I'm hungry, and I'm not doing 5 hours. I've done like 5 hours like 3 times in a row, and it irritates me because I'm tired and I'm cranky, and I gotta like listen back through 5 hours. Wait, no, we didn't have no flat earthers were here today, huh?
Yeah.
Never mind. I swear, I've now made it a habit to have to go back and re-listen to these things at least 2 to 3 times to start picking out. When I told you guys I was getting all that shit where they asked the same question over and over again naively. No. I'm going to show you exactly where they segue to that. I'm going to show you guys how they just over and over say the same thing. And I'm just going to show you the clips. I'm not going to be all like, idiot ding, because that shit's retarded. It's 2019. Time to put that fucking bell away. Anyway, but yeah, that's what this channel's for. Just because I have to use it right now, doesn't mean I'm not going to use this channel for what I made it for. This is where I'm going to start telling you exactly how it is, in which you need to realize you're not seeing maybe. Because, mind of God, I would shoo him away from the representing of a flat Earth, because he is everything against. He has no idea what's going on when it comes to like what he believes. He knows it's not flat. He's enjoying the fuck out of himself though.
Yeah.
Mind of God is he's got other issues that he's not talking about. He's just decided he's gonna make this persona and he's running with it because he don't believe. I don't even think he believes the shit he says.
Everyone is over at Red Pills tonight. They're watching him premiere an episode from Jose's show the other day.
Is he a dickhead? Is he one of that type of guys? Like if I went up,
Oh yeah,
shared it,
oh
he'd
yeah.
joke,
Red
yeah.
Red Pill. He's probably one of the biggest dickheads that
Okay.
there is.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
have time for that right now because I'd
Yeah.
share his stream, but if I think anybody that's one of them will strike me right away. So.
What's he saying, Lewis, about that?
Oh man.
Because on the after show, I'll post you guys a link in the side chat. That's the after show. I joined, and Rumpus was screaming at him, and I had to calm Rumpus down. And I showed Red Pill an example of things disappearing due to angular size reduction in 3D, and I had two examples, one on the left, one on the right. And I got him to be screaming and going, "Oh wow, that's it! You know, haha, I told you, that's it." And I've got Rumpus getting really angry with me because it looks like I've just demonstrated Red Pill philosophy's point.
Yeah.
And I've got Jose calmly figuring out what I was doing, and I said, "Wait a minute, let me just take a screenshot of my screen and zoom right in. Oh, would you look at that? It's still there and in full." And he shuts up. And then I presented something else to him, and you could see his brain just couldn't cope with it. So it's not like I think this. I don't think he's been outwardly devious. I think he wants to believe so much. His ignorance of, evidence.
Yeah.
He's got this defense. He must have this defense mechanism.
He has a stupendously large amount of self-confidence. It's unbelievable that somebody can be that headstrong.
Is he a preacher? Is he a preacher by any chance?
No. He actually has quite a bit of history here on YouTube. He used to be like super anti-feminism and very conservative. He used to be a basic conservative YouTuber, and he actually had some decent things to say once upon a time. But then he went MGTOW and started going crazy. And now he's here at Flat Earth. And if you look at the number of subs that he has, those are from his history.
Yeah.
And there's like no audience retention with this guy. Like everyone's left him because they see he's just going fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So
I've listened to a couple. It's very odd sitting there watching him talk.
I remember I didn't really follow him, but I remember watching a video once about how this woman attacked this guy in public, like over and over and over. And then he hit her once, and it was like seen as his fault or something, even though the whole thing was on camera and everything. And he went on like a 30-minute rampage about how this is an example of how men are unfairly treated and blah, 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 blah. So like that'll give you an idea of where he was at the time. Maybe 6 years ago, but he's been around for a while.
Yeah, I always wonder like how because if you just wander around his page, his sub count is legit. Like it's large.
Oh yeah.
But if you listen to 5 minutes of him, you go, how the fuck does his count like this guy's a fuck. He's like, I'm not even talking shit, but he really does have head issues. Like
I don't know how anyone can take the guy seriously at all.
Yeah, I don't think he has. Like,
wait a minute.
Having friends because he thinks he's too good for friends.
Right.
What's the site though? Because that subscriber count pretty much means nothing. If he's been different, if he's swapped and changed topics, you get subscribers and then they get left over and
they don't go away. They don't
yeah,
go away.
But so if you look at who's watching now, it's 147 now.
Right.
147 now. That's not a lot, considering Jose gets 101 and he's been running like a couple of weeks.
Right, exactly.
Here's how it works. It goes like this. So, your sub count and your view counts. So say like I do. See, mine are way off. So, mine for live streaming is really good. So you should only have 70% of views of your sub count. right? So if you have 100 views, you should have average 70 views. That's how it works. So once it starts leaving that in like leaps, that's when you start looking, because it never does that. YouTube doesn't allow it to happen in leaps like that. It'll happen in chunks because the algorithms have to go through them. That's why Simon Dan was such a big thing, because the way his sub count went, he got those subs overnight, and it doesn't work that way. You can't just get that many subs. If 100,000 people sub to me right now, it'd take a week and a half before I got all those subs, and that's just how YouTube does it, because it has to make sure that they're not sock accounts.
I don't know anything about that process.
Yeah, well, when you hang out with the flat earthers, who everyone accuses of it, you tend to learn a lot about it. You tend to learn a lot about that kind of shit. And to be honest with you, it could work, but at the same time, YouTube every year catches it, and then they throw all those subs away. So like, if someone has like 10,000 subs, and then like all of a sudden they have 3,000 subs, something happened. 7,000 people didn't unsub that person.
Yeah.
Those are the flags you gotta look at. That's why I think it's funny how YouTube does like for my account, like right now it's like a 1.2 or 1.4 or 1.2K or something like that, instead of the actual number, because what happens is on my account, where I look like where all my information is, it says I have like 1,300 people, but when I look on my sub count on my page, it's 1,200. But when I look on TubeBuddy, I have like 1,500 people, but there's 100 of them that TubeBuddy actually singles out as what they believe to be sock accounts.
How do you look that up, Sean?
On TubeBuddies, you have to get the premium lightning package or something like that. It's expensive, but it is worth it. You get it does everything for you. It runs through all your uploads. Like, you can go through TubeBuddy and it'll go through all your uploads and pick out anything it thinks may be copyrighted, anything it thinks may be detriment to your monetization, anything like that. TubeBuddies, they definitely got it hooked up. But you have to get the best one. You can't get the lower packages; they're not worth it.
I gotta write that down. TubeBuddies, huh?
Yeah. It's really good, especially for YouTube content creators. It's excellent. It has everything. It has like a plan list, tag list. I mean, anything you can think of that you forget, they help you remember it. They help me get through a lot. That's why I'm having problems now, because it doesn't follow all. Like, I have 2 other accounts that I use for streaming, so I can't use TubeBuddy on them with the same account, because I have to go pay another one, and I don't want to. So this one doesn't have it, so I have to do everything again. It pisses me off to do all the tags and all that crap. So
What's it cost?
I think it's about 80, $90 a month. It's
Oh, wow.
expensive, but I mean, if you're gonna create content and you know you're gonna do a lot of it, it's the best thing, because it gives you all the tags. It gives you it walks you through algorithms. It tells you how the first 10 tags are the most important, and how they have to correlate with the title and all this other. I mean, if you want to know how to get more subs, more views, and a better production, TubeBuddy is the best thing to do. It's just hands down nowadays. It gives you everything. I think YouTube even goes through them to get the analytics for you.
Nah. Just buy one of those $60,000 cameras. You'll be fine.
If someone on YouTube is using a $60,000 camera, tell me where you live. I'm gonna beat your ass. Get the fuck off YouTube.
I'll tell you. I don't know. There's a technology channel called Mac as Brown, MKBHD. And some of the people now that have risen from just backroom bedroom stuff to, like, they've got their own studios and a staff now. The cameras that they use are pretty much unreal. They're like 20-30 grand's worth of camera.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. I gotta look into that, because I've just been winging it so far.
Yeah, it's so great. Well, let me see if I can let me get this off my damn screen first of all, because I just realized I'm not even sharing that red pill dude with you guys anymore, and I'm fucking sitting here staring at him on the screen. I'm like, what the fuck am I looking at him
Yeah,
for?
you don't want to be doing that. Right, anyway, Sean, is it, just before I go, is this your channel permanent now, or are you going back to the other one, Sean
Oh,
G?
I am 100% going back to Sean G. It's
Okay.
just a matter of when I can. Right now, I can upload, but I can't live stream from there. So,
Right, okay. So this is live stream for you.
yeah. So what's going to happen? I decided is you guys are gonna, if you're obviously everyone who's subscribed to Sean G, you're gonna start getting premieres of what I uploaded tonight on the other channel, and the premiere all it's gonna be is just saying that this is gonna happen because a lot of people still either haven't heard, haven't clicked over, don't care, don't whatever it is. Whoever is around now that's looking will find me, and I don't expect it's going to be more than I don't think it'll be more than another week at best if everything works out as I think it will. And like I said, when that happens, oh, I'm gonna spill the beans about everything that's happened in the past month. Oh my God, you guys are gonna love it.
All right,
Oh,
anyway, cheers
yeah,
for
yeah.
the chat, guys, and take it easy.
Yeah. I'm gonna take off.
See you later, guys.
Yep. All right, Big Blue. Let me see. Uh, I'll put a bunch of links, like the TubeBuddy links and a bunch of other links in the chat that are really good to look into. But I'm gonna go ahead and end the hangout part so I can say I'm gonna take off to everyone else. I do more than welcome on the panel anytime. More than a pleasure having you on, my friend. And I know I'll see you over on the Discord side. All right, my friends. Let me see here. Let me see where I'm at. All right, so I did not get a chance to get those pictures out, but that's what I'm gonna do. So the next stream, you'll see a little box in the corner with a bunch of pictures going. That'll be all the pictures I've taken over the past 3-4 years. I'll start putting those out there. I know you guys can't see it, but the picture in the background, or yeah, you guys can see it now. That's a panorama shot, but yeah, that's one of mine. That's that McCain area that I was just talking about. I was talking about a little while ago. So I got some good pictures. You'll see. I got some kind of creative side. I think we'll see. I think. Don't quote me on that shit though. But yeah, guys, thanks for being here. I know it's a little bit difficult because it's a different channel. You're not seeing this name pop up. Not used to it, and a lot of people don't know yet. But do me a favor, please let everyone know what's going on. Let them know that I'm Steven here, and then I got some stuff planned out just in case because I kind of figured that the past week that I had was going to kind of keep a few of the flat earthers a little weary. So you can kind of made that clear that he was gonna back off for a little bit. And I understand I was a dick. I do apologize for that. I'm calm now, but I will not hold back, and I'm not gonna lie. There's a special affinity for Mind of God and even more so for Chris because yeah, that he's going to be an issue. He's one of those type of people that is planning to spread bullshit to another generation of flat earthers, and it's so obvious how it's just literally a script that Quantum Eraser wrote. That's the kind of shit that needs to be put out there. You guys need to see the details of that shit. If you want to act like that stuff's not going on, then that's your fault. That's your problem. That's scary. That's when you again. The biggest thing I want you to understand is this: fuck truth to me. Fuck truth to everybody in this chat. You just sit there and think about shit like in your own head. Do you honestly believe what you believe? I don't know. Tonight was a good night. I liked it. It was very chill, and definitely needed that. It was been pretty hectic. I think it's gonna be calm for a little bit, except for the fact that I'm gonna be calling a lot of these flat earthers that I believe that are giving information instead of taking information. Those are the ones I want to focus on the ones that are putting information into the ears of people who don't understand, or at least don't have the opportunity to hear both sides of it at least. Let me see what else I wanted to say. Yeah, and other than that, like I said, I'm gonna email the guy back. I think he wants me, like, to be honest, I think he wants me to do like an apology video or some shit. And as far as I know, that's pretty simple and easy. And just promise it won't happen again. So it won't, because I'm gonna tell you guys now, the intro that I have now is 3 songs, and those 3 songs I actually know for a fact. I actually talked to the YouTube account guy, the people that own it, and as long as they're in my description, which let me look at it right now. Yep, it's there, the bottom. As long as that's there, I will have nothing to worry about no matter where I use it. So I'll be able to upload this to the Sean G channel, so that a lot of people that missed it here will probably see this here over there. So that's cool. It works perfectly for me. What else was I gonna say? So the 3 songs, basically, I didn't know which one I wanted to use, so I just said F it, put them all together. But at some point I'm gonna break those all apart and make 3 different intros and an outro and all that stuff. Not sure if you guys noticed or not, but I change it a lot, and it's because I like doing that kind of stuff. And so yeah, you guys are gonna start seeing my editing skills start stepping up, because I got a lot of editing projects and I like doing that shit. So thank you guys for being here. It gives me the inspiration to do that stuff, and thank you guys for giving out the information that I need to understand everything else that I want to know. And I'm pretty sure I'll see most of you guys on the Discord side. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's Debate, Flat Earth, and more. That's pretty much where I go when I'm not here. It's a fun place. Fun place. If you are a quote unquote old timer of Flat Earth and Globe debate, it's a wonderful place for you. You'll fit right the fuck in. If you're a newbie, just know there's people there that have been doing this a long time, and shit just does not slide if you don't know what you're talking about. So bring your A game. That's what I can say. It's definitely what I consider the big boy place to come and talk Flat Earth and Globe. It's not like 24/7 where it's all like kids and they're like 17-year-olds who don't know shit arguing a 35-40-year-old man, and they feel like they got the upper hand. No, it doesn't work that way there. Nope. Grown men talking real shit, and they call you out on it. And trust me, there are a lot of flat earthers. There are Merle's there. Merle's crazy as shit every night. It's fun. But most of the time we get good conversation about shit, and it doesn't get too rowdy. But again, like I said, it's if you've been around a while, you need to be there. If you're new and you think you're ready, come on over and test the waters. If you can survive there, you're good to go. You got nothing to fucking worry about. But it's fun. Wait, let me see. Wait. Good night. I didn't hate on. I don't hate on, I love Debbie. Debbie's awesome. I've talked to Debbie. We had a very personal understanding about how I feel about that place and her. But again, I'll call out the people that are there just for that. That's, to me, is retarded. Can you see Hawaii? Can I see Hawaii from California? No, man. It's way too far below the curve. Whoa, wait. Now you want? I don't even have the hangout anymore, man. You know what's crazy, B-ball? I don't even know if you're globe or flat earth, but I see you everywhere, and you're cool as shit, so I got no worries with you. But sometimes you ask me questions that are weird, and I don't know. talk to you guys soon. And you know, like I said, everything is what it is because of you. I'm going to be calling out the flat earthers, I believe, that are purposely putting out false information. I'm going to be calling out these flat earthers that seemingly cannot change the way they believe for false reasons. And I don't care anymore about this. No. If you say something like facts won't change my beliefs, there's a problem. If your narrative doesn't change over years, there's a problem. Sit back, think to yourself. Are you being truthful to yourself? That's what needs to be said. That's what needs to be asked. Don't answer to anybody but yourself. What is truth to you? What do you have as evidence for your truth? And then seek courting. I mean, ask away. Ask all the questions you can. I swear to God, you can email me questions up the ass. Email me 100 questions. I'll find answers to every fucking one of you. Every one of them. And I'll email them back to you. I swear to fucking God. Because I'm just as interested in finding out what those 100 things are too. All right, guys. I'm going to get out of here. I'm sure tomorrow I'll have something to rant about. I didn't really rant today. Kind of feel naked about that. And but I do have a few of my rants recorded. Remember I said I'm going to do a rant session. I'm going to do like a minute rant every day. That's going to be coming pretty soon. That's going to be fun. You guys will like the first one. But more about those things tomorrow. You guys have a good night. Get over here and turn this on. And peace.